Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Monday night. It's time for Revolutionary Change. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager. Good to see you as always.
Hello. How are you?
It's been a long day.
In a day?
Tomorrow will be even longer. But I can certainly sympathize, as I often have been able to, with everyone struggling right now as we enter, unbelievably, a month that the government has been shut down, Jen. A month.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of theater there. And again, there's a lot of reasons why that's happening. None of those reasons are because anybody in Washington cares about your health care. None of it. That's what I know. They don't give a crap. Hakeem Jeffries doesn't give a shit about people having health care. He's against single payer health care. So, I don't recall him, talking about this prior to now.
Yeah, I would have never thought that something so heinous as Hakeem Jeffries being lauded as somebody. And I just have to say, I came across another content creator today, which is basically the Dems version of Tommy Lauren, basically like a blonde bubblehead, talking politics, only this is all about being in favor of the Democratic Party. The level of desperation that ones will go to try to convince people that they're stupid and can't see through the bullshit. The reason why we have a channel and a channel that is growing is because our job, as I see it, is that we have to be able to come to each and every one of you guys and espouse the truth completely unbiased. Now, you may not necessarily agree with all of our stances politically.
We are not unbiased. I'm incredibly biased. I'm a very biased individual. I have a lot of opinions about things.
Yeah, you do.
I know. I am not unbiased. I won't give out information that's inaccurate, but
that's what I'm saying. We're untainted. Untainted. Would that be a better way of looking at it?
I just think it's factual information. It's stuff that's reasonable information. But what we put out, the content we choose to talk about is with our bias of what we're doing. And that's okay. Like, nobody expects journalists to not have biases. We just expect them to tell the truth in what they're reported and the whole story. So no, you can have opinions. Jordan has opinions. That doesn't mean that he's not a good journalist.
Yes, that's true. And I also would say that our opinions do not directly affect how we conduct business, which I think is also very important. We don't say things and do things on this channel for the purpose of making a buck, which is obviously a big problem with a lot of other channels. If the only concern about whether or not this channel made money, all I would need to do, or all I would do, is just constantly cover Charlie, Kirk, Candace, Owens, and Nick Fuentes, and there you go. But that's not what we do here. And every story that is covered has to have important context, which is another thing that is lost. So as far as I can see, and as far as what is happening right now, for those who may or may not be aware, I am personally economically affected by the shutdown. This is directly affecting me. And I may actually lose a very important deal of which I had spent over a year on putting together, and it may go up in smoke because we live in, as our friend at Status Quo likes to say, the United Corporations of America. They do not give a rat's ass about any of us.
No.
At all, even a little bit.
Are we going to get into it all? I mean, I don't know if you had any interest in talking about the fact that having our military funded by a private donor is unconstitutional. I don't feel like anybody is saying that.
$130 million from the Mellon family. The Mellon family. Could you please explain, in the short time we have before our esteemed guest comes on, as to why this is such a critical issue that is not getting enough attention?
Well, it's a complete violation of the Constitution, brazenly. It's not even up for debate. Only Congress can fund the military. That's just that's literally in the Constitution. It's ridiculous. Yeah. What?
Don't you have that handy?
I do have it handy, and I cannot remember what section it is, but it has to do with that only Congress can declare war. Congress can fund the military. This is
or that Congress can
where
fund.
Am I?
Or that the Congress can only fund the government, as far as I know.
It's only Congress can lay taxes. I mean, yeah. So we're in Section 8. And Yeah, to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving to the states respectively the appointment of officers, blah, blah, blah. Yes, it is within Article 1. Congress funds the military. It's bad enough that we've been in all of these wars without a declaration of war. And that's horrendous. And that we have a Congress that just hands over everything that the executive demands to fund all these illegal wars, with few exceptions like Bernie and Rand Paul, like trying to stand up for the War Powers Act, but it doesn't go anywhere. But now we literally have a private entity funding the military. That means that military is no longer our military. It's no longer working for us. It's just no different than a hired, like
how
it's
different are
basically having
we?
a group.
Yeah, I mean, how different are we from a militarized nation that basically has a privately funded military that
We're there.
protects the king, so to speak?
We're there. And if people want to understand, and we don't even have time to get into this. At some point, I'll really get into the problem with what is the punishment bureaucracy that a lot of people refer to as law enforcement. See, if the police officers represented us and were about protecting and serving us, then they in our areas would be defending against these like unconstitutional Gestapo that are out there. And instead they're just standing by. Right. So it's all connected. They're all part of the same team, but we literally now have a privately funded military.
Yeah. Isn't that sweet?
Like we've taken the whole like privatization thing it's as far as you can go at this point.
No, it's not as far as we can go. It can go a lot further. And the constant blurring of the lines, especially with the genocidal state, is only making things that much worse. And so I was thinking, when we're discussing the many stories that are going on right now and why this is so horrifically bad, we are reminded of the heroes that we have out there that are doing work that I don't think the average person is capable of doing, especially putting themselves through such torture. And one of the things that we feel obligated to do on this channel is to highlight the fact that there is a difference between Judaism and Zionism. We have way too many followers and even supporters of our channel that fall into that trap, that this is just a Jew problem. And one of the great heroes, because I would call her a hero, it takes a lot of guts to put yourself in harm's way without any weaponry to defend yourself, mind you, to just go out there and try to bring humanitarian aid to these enslaved, persecuted, genocided people that are the Palestinians in Gaza. And so Noa Avishag Schnall, I think is that how you pronounce her name?
Schnall. Yeah. Avishag. I think so. Yeah.
This is her. Before we bring her in, hopefully, knock on wood, she'll be here in a minute. This is the statement that she made following her release from, I guess, was. No, go ahead.
She was in detention. No, I was just going to say, I don't think people even know. So our guest is one of the people that was on the recent Freedom Flotilla that was the humanitarian mission to Gaza. And she is one of the Americans. She's American, correct? She's American.
I think, well, she's Lebanese. I think she's a Lebanese American.
But she's a U.S. citizen. Yeah. But this is someone who was on the flotilla and was taken hostage and beaten and treated horribly by Izzy Hell.
Well, she's got the scars to prove it.
This is Noa Avishag Schnall, released along with my colleagues from unlawful Israeli imprisonment earlier this morning, reporting for Dropsite News. I'm going to read this report to get the news out to you as fast as possible. The last 3 of our comrades were released from detention within the last hours. Over 10,000 Palestinians that remain in Israeli prisons, many without charge and under indefinite detention, have no such luxury. Our boat, the Conscience, was attacked in international waters around 5 a.m. Wednesday morning, and the 8,000 Madeleine boats were attacked slightly before and after. The Conscience was 19 nautical miles from Egypt, not far from the Suez Canal. Israeli forces utilized at least 2 naval ships, 5 to 8 Zodiacs, and 2 helicopters to unlawfully board our boat, of majority medics and journalists carrying humanitarian aid. As previously publicized, we possessed no weapons and posed no threat. By the time Shayetet 13, what Israel calls their elite naval unit, repelled from helos, passed through the interior of the ship and through the garbage hold, and up our rope ladders, all Conscience passengers and crew were seated in the life jackets on the aft deck, with hands held out in non-threatening positions, fully prepared for attack. It took the Israelis until early evening to navigate our boat into Ashdod port. The 1,000 Madeleine boats, all actual sailboats as compared to our passenger ferry, were attacked by multiple Israeli naval ships, then taken together onto a single Israeli vessel with cage compartments for their detention. The vessel arrived at Ashdod port at sunset, while the Conscience arrived in the early evening. The brutality began immediately. We were taken through multiple levels of administration and the first of many strip searches. At least one woman has reported being physically penetrated by guards who laughed at her pain.
Oh, I thought that only happened with the Hamas people to the innocent Israelis on October 7th.
No, and I think we should let her, like, I don't think we need to show, this is like her entire video I think she did upon being released, and I don't think we need to, and we're going to get to talk to her and she could tell us, share a lot of this stuff with us. But these are people that are heroes. These are people that are revolutionaries. These are people that put their lives on the line for something that is greater than themselves. And it's commendable, and it's amazing.
So now you want me to stop playing this?
No, you could play. I mean, I just don't know how long it is. I mean, and I don't know if she goes into anything like that's, that we aren't going to get from her, but you could play it. Yeah.
Many flotilla members reported watching their valuables being looted by guards during bag searches. All of us had our hands violently shoved towards the ground and arms held in stress positions behind us, many with zip ties, and were led through processing and sorted into groups of men and women, then blindfolded. Several of the 150 total flotilla members, including me, were targeted for extreme brutality throughout imprisonment. From Ashdod, we were all put on buses to Ktziot in the Nakab region, normally an all-men's prison reserved for those Israel deems terrorists. We arrived between 2 and 3 a.m. and were separated into cells of 2 to 6, given filthy blankets, and left thin mattresses on the floor. Many flotilla members began hunger striking, with some even refusing water. The following day was administrative chaos, meant to be organized by nationality. Some were allowed to see consul reps. Some consuls didn't come at all. Some were taken into one room of a trailer at Ktziot and sat before a judge who inquired if we would accept voluntary deportation and acknowledge what they called illegal entry into Israeli territory. I was kicked out during the Americans' turn with the judge for translating the events into English. Any flotilla member who upset the Israeli guards was subjected to twisted and tightened handcuffs, and some received beatings. I was hung from the metal shackles on my wrists and ankles and beaten in the stomach, back, face, ear, and skull by a group of men and women guards, one of whom sat on my neck and face, blocking my airways.
So basically what they did to her is why people talk about what happened to somebody like George Floyd, in the sense that whether you believe it happened or not, you can constrict a person's ability to breathe very easily. And by doing what they did to her, they weren't necessarily going to kill her, but they wanted to make her think that they were going to. And that is a form of torture. Quite a cruel form of torture, wouldn't you say, Jen? You're muted.
That's just what they do. And this is someone who's an American citizen. This is someone who's a citizen of their nearest and dearest country, friend, which then, of course, leads you to understand, well, what does that mean for the 9,000 Palestinians that they're still holding hostage, including, by the way, I think close to 500 of them are children and 50 something are women that haven't been charged with crimes, by the way. But so if this is how they're treating a U.S. citizen, imagine. And with complete impunity, mind you. Like they knew, and she knew that she was going to get out. She knew that at that point. But when she knew she was going to get out, and they knew she would, and yet they didn't hesitate to totally abuse people that are going to report how abused they were. That's how they don't even care what we think.
They don't care one iota.
No.
Many comrades, understandably, do not want their identity made public when recounting this treatment. During the evening, the men were tormented by guards with attack dogs and guns. The women were threatened with pepper spray. Our cell was awoken with threats of rape. There is a banner in the yard at Ktziot, below the large Israeli flag, which features a rubblescape. On the banner is written in Arabic, "The New Gaza." In the same yard, Israeli footage of October 7th was played on rotation on 2 screens. Thursday evening, October 9th, some of our comrades were flown home. The next day, the remainder of us were taken to Giv'on prison, the same detention center previous Flotilla members from the Madeleine and the Handla were unlawfully held in. The brutality continued. I was taken into solitary, as was one other woman and a few of the men. No one was allowed to see their lawyers after Ashdod port. When I demanded, one of the head guards raised his walkie-talkie to my face as if to strike and taunted in Hebrew, "Say it again." By early Sunday morning, the majority of us were still hunger striking and were put in wrist and ankle shackles. We were driven to Allenby or King Hussein crossing. We didn't know where we're being taken, but some guards had told us of our imminent departure. We were driven through the occupied West Bank and caught glimpses through the metal barriers of the prison buses. We were met on the Jordanian side by a team of Freedom Flotilla Coalition and Thousand Madeleine organizers, as well as a Jordanian delegation. More details from the account are forthcoming. For now, we have only been recently informed of the ceasefire, its potential to hold, and the small amount of humanitarian aid trucks that are being allowed into Gaza.
Well, as you can see, which should come as no surprise to anybody, the supposed ceasefire that never actually existed. It's just an excuse to try to get people to look away for a few minutes. And
it was never, we're so far past that. You know what I mean? Ceasefire, really?
Yeah.
First of all, Israel's never honored any agreement that they've ever made ever. So I don't understand why anybody would think they would honor that agreement. But the ceasefire is not a real thing. They're still killing Palestinians every single day in Gaza and the West Bank. And now they're letting aid trickle in when they know damn well that for the most part, it's going to be too late in terms of the majority of people that are in the stage 5 of famine. And not just that, but what kind of infrastructure is left for them to even have any sort of safe, healthy way of existence? Like they're not, I don't, you know.
it's a good
Yeah.
point.
Ceasefire is not enough, but I did get a message from her. She's coming. She had a nap. And in all fairness, guys, so Noa is currently in Paris and is nice enough to be joining us this evening. And I know it's really late there, so I do appreciate that.
We'll finish it up.
Though these flotillas did not reach Gaza or our Palestinian siblings this time, the people and motivation of the flotillas are unwavering. For now, there are 2 main takeaways. 1, we were not broken. 2, we know that this ceasefire will not end systematic oppression and occupation. Prisons like Ktziot, designated to torture Palestinians, continue to exist. More than ever, we have to take to the streets. The siege will be broken. We stand with Palestine.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, they're not deterred. I am not deterred. Like, again, I'm too angry to be scared. So, you know, that's that. I mean, or I just, you know, maybe I should be, but I'm not.
No, because I think either you do have humanity in your blood or you don't. And while I think that there are always reasons to be fearful because we know how far they're probably willing to go, especially as they continue to lose support and infrastructure. Things will only get perpetually worse. I can't imagine what's going to happen when they really start to lose it, when things really start to get bad. And my guess is that it's really just a matter of time. It's not if. Right now, we, as you just alluded to, are dealing with a constant, again, we listen to all of these numbskulls talk about constitutional crisis, my ass. This is a real constitutional crisis that we're going through right now with the merging of the corporate state with the military, which in fact is true fascism. Again, you have a privately funded military now, which is, again,
horrifying.
Should be horrifying.
It's horrifying.
So as a result of that big problem, we are now faced with an issue of, are we actually going to be able to have some semblance of a country left? I don't know, probably not. And it does give me a great deal of pause, as it should everybody else. But are we just going to lay down and die? No. So here's a little interesting tidbit that was brought to my attention. So while the American military is now being privately funded, would you care to guess how much the IDF is getting paid?
Huh.
Four times the amount of the American service member. 4 times. I mean, they will still say that they're oppressed people and they have to be able to get away with what they get away with.
Yes, because preemptive genocide is now a thing, apparently.
Oh, absolutely it is.
So, no.
I do believe that they are not going to hang on forever. They've hung on longer than one would expect. But
I don't understand why our active service people are showing up for work if they're not getting paid. I hope they're not. Every single active service person should not be working. I hope they're not. I think they should all be standing down. I don't think they should. Why would they work if they're not getting paid?
I also want to say that the overarching problem that we're seeing today in terms of the what is actually happening here. And if you thought 60 Minutes from a week ago with Witkoff and Kushner was bad, well, Jen, brace yourself. The 60 Minutes segment last night about American hegemony and the Monroe Doctrine will prove to you why what happened to Noah, what is happening with Israel. All of this is a plan, and it is no different than any other major empire that's ever crumbled in history. And leave it to probably the 2 most loathsome, disgusting members of the U.S. Senate to explain why that is the case.
Maduro, I'd head to Russia or China right now.
Because?
His days are numbered. Something's going to happen. Whether it's internal or external, I think something's going to happen.
What do you think removing Maduro would signal to other socialist?
Keep in mind, I'm going to start this again. He's talking about first Russia and China, and then he pivots to Venezuela. So listen closely.
If I was Maduro, I'd head to Russia or China right now.
Because?
His days are numbered. Something's going to happen. Whether it's internal or external, I think something's going to happen.
What do you think removing Maduro would signal to other socialist regimes?
It'll be the end of Cuba. America is going to take care of the Southern Hemisphere. And we're going to make sure that there's freedom and democracy.
Just like we have here. Right, Rick? Yeah, that's what the world wants. They want the kind of freedom and democracy we have here.
You know, the one thing I could say about Rick Scott, he has the most dead blue eyes I've ever seen.
I can't even look at him. He's disgusting. He's Voldemort. He's a loathsome individual. So we're watching our senator, those of us who are stuck in Florida, speaking threatening the head of a foreign nation, of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, and threatening him that he better get out because someone's coming for him. They've already tried to kill him so many times. And now we're moving our biggest aircraft carrier into that vicinity. Like, we're really wanting to play war games. We are really trying to bait them into justifying us putting boots on the ground in Venezuela. And it won't matter, because nothing that they do is going to regime change Venezuela right now.
The other thing that I think is very important here, which I think, again, gets kind of glossed over when everyone's talking about Venezuela and what we're doing there. He opens with Maduro should flee to China or Russia. So what he's effectively saying is, we are not just going after Venezuela, we are antagonizing Russia and China together at the same time.
Well, no, he knows that they're right now behind Venezuela, which yet is another reason why it's us just picking a fight. Like, we really want to go at it with China. China has vowed to support them militarily. So this is going to get ugly really fast. And people like him are totally willing to let other people's children go die.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I've seen where Rick Scott lives. Let me assure you, the people that have that kind of money, they're more than happy to tie up a few loose ends if they have to in order to maintain that lifestyle.
Oh, yeah, no, he could not care less.
Sure that there's freedom and democracy.
The examples you're citing also involved ground troops. You said time for Maduro to go.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot like regime change. Are you talking about troops on the ground?
I'll let the president speak to that.
Yeah. They are talking about troops on the ground. And the reason that we know this is that regime change requires boots on the ground. It can't just be done from dropping bombs. So that's why we're baiting Venezuela into some form of retaliatory action by shooting at ships and blowing up ships and killing people in their waters. Not even in international waters, mind you. In their waters, we are killing random boats, blowing them out of the water, no evidence, and just claiming it's drug cartels when we know that it's not.
How about the reaction of Sissy Lindsey when asked point blank, does that mean boots on the ground?
He knows damn well it does.
Let me think.
He knows damn well it does. And right now, we don't have the manpower.
What did Daddy say that I'm allowed to say? I'll wait for my daddy to tell me what I can say. Right now, I'm not 100% sure.
He knows damn well that in order to have that happen, there has to be boots on the ground. Now, would we not use our own boots and use someone else's boots? Sure, we would do that, but there's no one to really do that for us. Who's going to do that for us? Who we sending in on our behest to conquer Venezuela? You know, because the Colombians aren't going to help us at all, since we're going after them too.
Can we send Lindsey? Can we send Voldemort?
I mean,
know they don't.
Well, I think, honestly, that there needs to be a law that if Congress declares war, that their families go sign up and go first.
This is also why I've always been very adamant about Teddy Roosevelt, because Teddy would never ask somebody to go fight in a war that he wouldn't fight in himself. It's always the worst of worst people that will say, you have to get, like Rick Scott talking tough. Like, who the fuck are you, man?
It will require conscription. They will have to have a draft if they want to initiate a boots on the ground type of, strategy, whether it's Venezuela, whether it's Iran. They will have to have a draft.
They keep daring the country to rebel, to revolt, to have a revolution. They're doing it every day. How much further do you think we can push these guys? When we get, and here's, we'll finish out the video, but here's something, I'll remember it when it's over. We'll finish this up.
I'm talking about a briefing that would expand military operations potentially from the sea to the land. It is time for Maduro to go. It was time for Ortega to go. The Monroe Doctrine has been robustly applied by President Trump.
The Monroe Doctrine.
So we are now overtly acknowledging colonialism. That's what we're talking about. Like,
you're invoking the Monroe Doctrine.
Yeah. So this caucasity. So this is, we're saying, and I've heard him say things on other shows recently, Lindsey Graham, about Venezuela being the 51st state or whatever other nonsense he says. The complete caucasity of him to sit there and talk about which leaders get to be in which countries. I mean, it's just, you can't make this shit up.
Well, they used to be able to come up with some type of a backstory that would rile up the populace, but I keep telling you, there was way too much bad that was done in Afghanistan and Iraq to tens, if not hundreds of thousands of American soldiers, and knowing full well as a result. I mean, again, this is why the false flags became such a common thing. Now I'm convinced. I mean, look, we've done enough coverage on this channel to prove that 9/11 was a, you know what. Point being is that I mean, listen, I almost became a soldier. I looked at it and was like, well, I have to defend my country. There were millions of people that felt, well, they came here and attacked us. I have to go do it. So you don't need a draft. You just got ready, willing, and able participants. And then when you find out what it's all about, how do you think you're ever going to sell that again? How do you think you're ever going to convince the American population that, yeah, this is totally acceptable behavior. This is exactly what we need. Conscription, that's what's coming.
Well, the further squeezings of our economic situation forces people into military positions. That's their way of conscription without conscription, is you make life so unbearable that for a lot of people, military service is the jobs program.
I normally would not do this early in the show, but we have to do it because it's our friend. Anthony, I don't know why you're doing this, but
no.
We love you, baby.
Oh my God, Anthony, we love you.
I think it's abundantly clear that Trump is manufacturing a conflict in Venezuela to kill Maduro, install Machado, invade Guyana, take the oil, totally taking the oil, drill the Arctic in Alaska, which is why they want to connect the two countries.
They're just doing that now, yes.
Cut off Gulf oil, allow Israel to, I don't know what that word is for the region. We'll soon take it. The rich get richer. But again, how much more are people willing to put up with at this point? That's got to be the question. How much more? How many times can they poke you in the eye before you say, I think I've had enough?
Yeah, but and we're doing it all over the globe. So it's just, yeah, we're sitting there and poking. And the nerve of Lindsey Graham to say Maduro's got to go. Lindsey Graham had to go 20 years ago. These people, we're running like a mausoleum / hospice up there in DC.
Well, think about how hard Trump went against. You know, I really never liked that Lindsey. Do you remember when I was running for president the first time and I put out his private number and everyone started calling him?
Oh, that's glorious, though.
But do you know what Trump is doing today? Trump is fundraising for Lindsey Graham to be reelected into the Senate.
Isn't that special?
Remember when the Democrats threw, what was his name? The guy who's head of the DNC? The black guy, I'm forgetting his name.
Who?
South Carolina.
Clyburn?
No, not Clyburn. The guy who's head of the DNC.
Oh.
You're one of the greatest, brother. And we're seeing you out there doing amazing work. You really are.
For sure.
Somebody in the chat, who was the name of the
let's just say hypothetically Uncle Tom.
No, not Andrew Gillum. That's not him.
No, you said of the DNC. You said
the guy who was head of the DNC. Anyway,
okay. So
the guy who was the head of the DNC and it's going to eat me alive. Jamie Harrison. That's it.
Okay. So like I said,
Jamie, I didn't hear you say that. I'm sorry.
No, I said, let's just say Uncle Tom. It doesn't matter what his name is.
Joe Anthony with Herman Cain. You're so that's a real that's it. But anyway, when Jamie Harrison ran for the Senate in South Carolina against Lindsey Graham on the low end, $40 million. On the high end, $70 million. That's how much they spent on the Senate race in South Carolina to lose to Lindsey Graham by about, what was it, a dozen points? 14 points?
Yeah. Yeah.
Both
So the
parties-
perfect place for someone like that is to head the DNC.
Well, that's why both parties are terrible. This is exactly why there is no support and should never be for any of these major parties, because again, this is the problem that we're entering. Any update from Noa?
I texted her. I texted her and she said, yep, joining. I just had a nap and getting myself together. And that was at 7:19. So I don't know. I haven't heard anything else. I know she has the link. So that is it. That is all I can do.
Well, if you guys are enjoying this conversation, which we hope you are, you will consider going over to patreon.com/revolutionary change. For as little as $5 a month, you can become a supporter of our small but mighty channel. You do not need to contribute the way our good friend Anthony has chosen to.
No.
That is unbelievably generous. And we thank each and every one of you for your support. And of course, Jim Taleb getting us kicked off with the $5 super sticker. Thank you very, very much for your support. Navy EOD Vet with the $4.99. Unit 8200 is already scouring our social media accounts. Do you know what that is exactly?
Unit 8200? No, I am. I don't know what Unit 82. You're asking me what Unit 8200 is? How would
I don't know what it is either. That's why I was asking you. I thought maybe you might know. I'm guessing it's some type of government operation of some kind that is pushing us in the direction of more censorship, more control.
Oh, I know we're being watched. We've been being watched since, well, for sure since the Patriot Act. I mean, we for sure we've been being all very monitored since then.
Well,
and
how
then
about
even when we were exposed by, and even when it was exposed by Edward Snowden, that civilians and just everyday people were being spied on, he got punished, and yet the spying continues.
Well, how about the fact? Oh man, the thought just went completely over my head. Can it return?
I don't know, but I'm looking at Navy EOD Vet's little shih tzu.
Yeah. Reminding you of somebody in particular?
Yeah, my little shih tzu died last week.
Sophie was a sweetie, and we miss her.
No. It's so weird being in the house without her. It's so weird. That's another reason I need to get out of here.
Yeah, dogs do make life better, but they also don't live anywhere near as long as they should. And so, what were we just talking about? Why do we have to throw our thoughts off when I was trying to get a point across?
Everybody watching our social media accounts, people, spying on us. Unit 8200 is already scouring our social media accounts.
So we're going to enter in a position where they're going to continue to try to drag us into this 1984 type situation, Blade Runner type situation, where we're not, we have no choice but to fight back. You may not want to.
Okay.
IDF intel. Yeah, of course. That's not a surprise.
I know I'm followed by the Israeli consulate, whatever.
Yeah.
Hello.
They love you.
I
know. Hey, IDF, I got you right here.
I say IOF.
They are offensive in many ways.
They're beyond.
Alex M with the 199. That Harrison guy needs Ozempic more than I do. What we need to do
you
is
said
stop
it, not us.
Yeah, well, what we need to do is stop pretending that the two major parties are doing anything other than dragging our country to hell and thinking that we're going to solve our problems by fighting directly through that system. You got to find another way. There is no other way. Anthony deciding he does not feel that he's been generous enough, so another $4.99. Fight the region. Allow Israel to fight the region and the world. Sorry, on a flight from LA to DC.
Oh my God.
The Golden Girls. What better way to distract you?
But what episode?
Because
I've been on a season 5 bender lately, but anywho.
I sent you that thing on Instagram the other day about the Golden Girls, if their show was done today and what their hair would look like. Did you see that one?
I've seen that. It's awesome.
Yes.
They look like me.
Which one?
I'm the same age. I'm the age that they were. I'm 54, and I believe that I want to say if it was B. Arthur, Rue McClellan, like a couple of them were like my age.
One of the great Simpsons jokes from yesteryear was, "Did you send those dozen roses to B. Arthur's grave?" Yes, but I don't want to hear the end of any sentences. Kenman with the
I don't know.
Kenman with the 279 Canadian A. I hate Taylor Swift. I don't care much for her either. I never did.
I've never been a fan. I couldn't care less. I don't see what the big deal is. I'm not into cult-like behavior, and people are very cult-like about her. And so when that happens, I generally tend to go in the other direction.
Yeah, that's a pretty safe assumption. I would agree on that. JG, great to see you. Thank you for the $10. I believe it's also about Venezuela getting close to China in trade. Without China, Venezuela would have been couped already. China trade is making Venezuela prosperous. Venezuela is prosperous because it has the largest concentration of crude oil in the world under their soil, and they do not want to do business with us. And who in the fuck are we to tell them that they have to? The world's hegemon, right?
Not for long, people. Not for long. Not for long.
How could they with the way they conduct business, or with the way we conduct business, I should say? So, fare thee
imagine that a country that hears our leadership blatantly, brazenly bragging about how they're going to unseat him in another nation state. Go figure why they wouldn't want to deal with us. And by the way, they've tried to deal with us many, many times. He's reached out multiple times. Maduro wanted to sell us the oil, wanted to have a deal with us, wanted to trade and work with us. We don't want that.
We want it all.
We want it all. And it's not according to our terms because, I don't know, it's their fucking oil.
We're totally getting it, Jen. Believe me when I tell you that.
You're getting
it. It's the Monroe Doctrine. Have you read it? Mr. Monroe, he was a really great person. He made sure to put in that doctrine many years ago. That means that we are making the world great again.
Again.
Forever. Code Fairy, thank you for the 1999. All I can say is thank you. Well, we thank you just the same.
Everybody thanks everybody. Everybody who's here is part of what we're trying to do. Everybody who's here is part of this process and part of the coalition and part of the revolution. And, I know everybody isn't all necessarily politically aligned, but I think we're humanitarily aligned. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. Like, let's just hypothetically pretend that there were no political parties in this country whatsoever, that there just weren't any. And we just voted for individuals based on what they said about different issues. There was no money in it. Nobody could buy them. We could have a representative democracy. Like, it's technically possible, but we don't. And so our way of handling that is doing this.
I agree. Connie, thank you for the $2. Fine is trying to pass to denaturalize Mamdani. I wasn't going to say anything, but we're about to transition into one of our big segments.
Of course he is.
Finally, Kenman with the 279 Canadian A. Peter, your shaving is superb. What razor do you use?
He has very little face hair to begin with.
Look, I'm 42. I got very lucky. I have.
He's like.
What do I use? I don't use Dollar Shave Club. I use what the heck is it called?
But he also has a whole regimen.
Oh yeah.
He's got like a mask and a rose quartz roller, and he has a whole regimen.
Jen, how do I maintain such youthful beauty? I have to.
Also, you don't have a wife or kids. I would suggest people who have children don't usually look as good.
Let me say, considering the level of poverty that I've had to live through in recent times, frankly, I've been kind of dancing on the string for a good, probably since the pandemic, honestly. It's not easy, but I make sure to eat right and exercise. And yes, I take care of my face. So thank you. I use, just say Dollar Shave Club, and I've used Gillette. Those are the two that I've used. Sable Miner with the $5. How do you guys feel about my comparing Gaza to U.S.'s blockade of meds and prosperity to Cuba, Venezuela?
Okay, so there is a similarity in our economic bullying and our sanctions in places like Venezuela and Cuba. We have sanctions in places all over the world that are economically crippling for other countries. Venezuela being one of those countries. So when a lot of people like Lindsey Graham are talking shit about
be nice.
are talking shit about Venezuela, it's fair to say that the bulk of their economic problems are because of our sanctions. So we are the world's economic bully. Go figure, they don't want that anymore. But as far as comparing it to Gaza's blockade, the difference is we are not an occupying entity over Venezuela and Cuba. Economic bullies, yes, but we're not an occupier. They have airports, they can come and go, they have passports, like they exist in their own nation states independent of us. So it's different, but it's bullying and dehumanizing, definitely.
Thank you guys again for your amazing support. We will return as we go on in the evening. Speaking of what we're willing to do to try to bring people down, for those of you who are not familiar with Sid Rosenberg, I think I've mentioned him once before. So when I was in college many moons ago, my first major internship was with WFAN Sports Radio in New York City, Astoria, Queens, to be exact. This was in the summer of 2005. And one of the people that I got to know pretty well working at the studio was Sid Rosenberg. He was up and coming at the time. He was a regular guest on Don Imus's show, Imus in the Morning, and eventually he got his own show from the 10 to 1 segment. Good segment for sports radio with him and Jody Mack, and it was a good show. And, you know, we had our conversations. We kept in touch through social media. I know his agent. We've been in communication for years. It wasn't I always kind of figured that he was a supporter of Israel, even though it never really became a major topic of conversation. But when we got to October 7th, I saw this man turn into the complete psychopath that I guess you would assume that any Zion-Nazi would be under the surface. And so just a couple of days ago, he interviewed Andrew Cuomo and had a couple of things to say about Zohran Mamdani.
Given morning, there's a crisis. And people's lives are at stake. God forbid another 9/11. Can you imagine Mamdani in the seat?
Hey, I could. He'd be cheering.
It's another problem.
You bigoted fuck.
And he's wearing that pin. Just assume that if you catch them with the pin, that they are as bigoted as humanly possible. Bring them home. Kill 1 million of them if you have to.
Do you know the people who really, in terms of a people that suffered the most from 9/11? Because I do. I know that if you were to name a particular group of people that has had the worst repercussions and have suffered more than anybody because of 9/11, because it's the Muslims. So to insinuate that somehow Mamdani would be supportive of that is so beyond. This is psychopathic stuff.
We'll finish it out.
But can you imagine that?
No.
Listen. Mamdani was in the seat on 9/11.
Yeah.
What would have happened in this seat?
Oh, come on. Listen.
Yeah. What would have happened? I don't know. People would get things like healthcare and some sort of like economic relief. And I don't know. Yeah, I do. I think it would be good. Imagine. Yes, I can.
It's kind of like, as is being mentioned in the chat about Emily Austin, who I've pointed out before, who I've met, who I got her phone number, had no idea who the hell I was talking to. Lo and behold, she turned out to be RFK's AIPAC handler, as one would have suspected. She starts a group called Hot Girls for Cuomo. First of all, Emily Austin, you're a pretty girl. You're not that hot. Let's call it space.
Well, the arrogance of that anyway is just disgusting. Like, so you're self-titled hot. Because
listen, hold on. Don't Zion-Nazis think they're the hottest thing walking the earth anyway? They're not just the chosen people. They're the chosen, however hideous they may appear physically. In their mind, they're the hottest people walking the earth.
Now, I'm not sure what adjustable means, but
it means that she looks like a 6 with her makeup on, basically.
Okay. There you go. So that means she's probably a 4 or 5.
Hey, I got a good joke for you from the World's Most Tasteless Joke Book.
Oh, no.
What is a Jap's version of birth control?
I know.
No, that's not it. What is a Jap's version of natural childbirth? Anybody? No makeup.
Yeah, that's real funny.
Now, Zohran has obviously had to endure quite a bit since he started this race. We could show a lot of the commentary that's been made from Cuomo to Silva to the biggest douchebag walking the earth, perhaps, at least right now he is anyway. And that, of course, is Mr. Ackman. But with that said, Zohran finally decided to make a statement, a personal statement about what he has had to go through since starting this race. And he didn't frame it as about woe is me. He framed it in the context of what it's like to be a Muslim in New York City, of which there is over 1 million Muslims in New York City.
You know what that means?
They're taking over, Jen.
Oh my God, it's Sharia law and mandatory halal.
Here we go.
Years ago, shortly after I had announced I was running for assembly, a well-meaning Muslim uncle pulled me aside. He smiled softly and looked at me with care. In a quiet voice, he told me I did not have to tell people I was Muslim. His eyes kind, his beard proud, and his face heavy with the implication of the unsaid. I had not learned the lesson that he had been taught, time and again. It is the lesson that safety could only be found in the shadows of our city, that it is in those shadows alone where Muslims could embrace the fullness of our own identities, and that if we are to emerge from them, then it is in those shadows where we must leave our faith. These are lessons that so many Muslim New Yorkers have been taught again and again. And over these last few days, these are the lessons that have become the closing message of Andrew Cuomo, Curtis Sliwa, and Eric Adams. Yesterday, Andrew Cuomo laughed and agreed when a radio show host said that I would cheer another 9/11. Yesterday, Eric Adams said that we can't let our city become Europe. He compared me to violent extremists, and he lied when he said that our movement seeks to burn churches and destroy communities.
No, that's the responsibility of the IOF, of which they are doing right now as we speak. Right now.
Do you know who is the protector of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem? Do you know who is entrusted? Now, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is the place where Jesus was crucified, and it is a very sacred place for Christians. It's definitely a church. But do you know who has been overseeing it, caring for it, who has the keys to it for forever? Yes, it's the Muslims. The Muslims are the people that protect the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is one of the most sacred sites for Christianity. But yet, all they want to do is attack the Muslims. It's just, yeah.
Day before that, Curtis Sliwa slandered me from a debate stage when he claimed that I supported global jihad. And every day, super PAC ads imply that I am a terrorist or mock the way I eat, push polls that ask New Yorkers questions like whether they support invented proposals to make halal mandatory, or political cartoons that represent my candidacy as an airplane hurtling towards the World Trade Center.
Oh my God.
That was actually Curtis Silva who put up that image of a
horrible
red airplane going into the World Trade Center. Curtis, you're a sick fuck. Honestly, you're a sick fuck. And I don't care how much you got paid to do that. It is, as we have said, and it's probably the thing that stood out the most to you when you ran for Congress, the amount of self-control that the Muslims have in the face of this bigotry that is so accepted in our culture. The way that Wasserman Schultz speaks about her own constituents.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
the Islam hate is real. And let us be very clear. It's not, and I've said it many times, it's not a phobia. They're not scared of Islam. They're not. They just don't like them.
No.
Let's be very real. They're not scared. Arachnophobia is a thing. There's people that are horrified of spiders. That's a legitimate thing. There's fear of heights, claustrophobia, like all sorts of phobias that are people afraid. Why do we use that phrase when it's just bigotry? Because that it almost like makes it sound like it's an acceptable feeling to have based on that. It's, well, I'm just scared, but you're not scared. You're just a bigot.
They're scared that their moral compass is stronger than theirs.
But I do not want to use this moment to speak to them any further. I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of the city. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab. I want to speak to the Muslim city worker, whether they teach in our schools or walk the beat for the NYPD. New Yorkers who all make daily sacrifices on behalf of the city only to see their leaders spit in their face. I want to speak to every child who grows up in New York marked as the other, who is randomly selected in a way that rarely feels random, who feels that they carry a stain that can never quite be cleaned. Growing up in the shadow of 9/11, I have known what it means to live with an undercurrent of suspicion. I will always remember the disdain I faced, the way my name could immediately become Muhammad, and how I could return to my city only to be asked in a double-mirrored room at the airport if I had any plan of attacking it. And since I was very young, I have known that I was spared the worst of it. I was never pressured to be an informant like a classmate of mine. I have never had the word terrorist spray painted on my garage as one of my staff had to endure. My mosque has never been set on fire. To be Muslim in New York is to expect indignity. But indignity does not make us distinct. There are many New Yorkers who face it. It is the tolerance of that indignity that does. Since I announced my candidacy for mayor 1 year ago yesterday, I've sought to be the candidate fighting for everyday New Yorkers, not simply the Muslim candidate. I've carried these indignities with me each moment of this race, doing so all the while as the first major Muslim candidate for mayor in New York City history. I thought that if I could build a campaign of universality, I could define myself as the leader I aspire to be, one representing every New Yorker, no matter their skin color or religion. I thought if I worked hard enough, it would allow me to be that leader. And I thought that if I behaved well enough or bit my tongue enough in the face of racist, baseless attacks while returning back to my central message, it would allow me to be more than just my faith. I was wrong. No amount of redirection is ever enough. In doing this, I have told the wide-eyed young boy in Jackson Heights or the first-time voter in Parkchester that they too should remain in the shadows. I am becoming that same uncle who took me aside. No more. The dream of every Muslim is simply to be treated the same as any other New Yorker. And yet for too long we have been told to ask for less than that. And to be
We have been told to ask for less than that. And I also want to point out people in the chat getting antsy about me using a racist joke. Guys,
what joke?
Jap is Jewish American princess. I'm not talking about Japanese people.
No, that would be rude.
That would be rude. I've got good Japanese jokes, though. But.
No, and even if you know that it's Jewish American princess and somehow you still find that offensive, as the Japist that's here, that would be me, I'm not offended.
On, guys. Put your big boy pants
on. We can't be
offended. Here we're not soft. We're allowed to tell jokes because, again.
Oh, you thought he meant Japanese. Yeah, no.
It's called a joke for a reason.
You know, my first freshman year roommate in college, I had a roommate and the first semester. And then the second semester, I wasn't living with her anymore, but I'm in the study room and I overhear her saying to some people, you should talk to Jennifer because she comes from a really Japanese area. And I turn around and I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, you always talk about the Japs. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. And I had to teach her what that was. So the whole first semester I was living with her. And if I used the reference of Japs, like from my hometown, like people I grew up with who, let's be real, it was Jappy. It was Jappy. And she thought I was talking about Japanese people, which is, I was mortified that like when she said, like, as if I would do that.
You would be surprised going back and watching certain movies, certain things, even from the 80s, even the 90s, where certain language was just accepted. Now, like I said, I don't have a problem with certain jokes, even if it uses certain derogatory terms. Again, as long as it's in good taste, it's
Correct.
funny,
No,
there's
good. What's
jokes.
the intent?
Yes, that's different. Now, are there what people would consider jokes that are not really jokes? Yes, and I've been around people that do that type of stuff. Look, it's the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. But if you can't laugh at yourself, if you can't laugh at the shortcomings in society, then what do you have? And what is making Zoran's speech so powerful is that he's showing that he's human. That, yes, I know what it's like to run around this city and people threaten to kill me. It's not fun. But you know why I'm doing it? Because this is much bigger than me. There are millions of people in the city who go every day basically thinking that they're not worthy of any dignity. And he is proving every moment that he is doing this. And he's not even elected yet. And he's going to be elected unless they decide to remove him, which I'm still not convinced wouldn't happen. That's just me. So we'll see. But he is a leader in a way that AOC only wishes that she was. Just saying.
Satisfied with whatever little we receive. No more. For as long as we have lived, we have known that no matter what anyone says, there are still certain forms of hate acceptable in this city today. Islamophobia is not seen as inexcusable. One can incite violence against our mosques and know that condemnation will never come. Elected officials in this city can sell T-shirts calling for my deportation without fear of any accountability. The consequences are stark. More than 1 million Muslim New Yorkers exist in this city only to be made to feel as if guests in our own home. No more. We stand on the precipice of an election, but that is not what today is about. We know that in less than 2 weeks, we will say goodbye to a disgraced former governor and our current indicted mayor. The bigger question is whether we are willing to say goodbye to something much larger. It is whether we are willing to say goodbye to anti-Muslim sentiment that has grown so endemic in our city that when we hear it, we know not whether the words were said by a Republican or by a Democrat. We know only that it was spoken in the language of the politics of this city. In an era of ever-diminishing bipartisanship, Islamophobia has emerged as one of the few areas of agreement.
Couldn't have said it better. It's considered probably the one area of acceptable bigotry on both sides of the political spectrum.
Well, it's not acceptable.
Well, not amongst progressives and libertarians, but amongst the shit libs and the, conservative inks.
Yes, bigots are okay with bigotry.
Period.
And while I appreciate all who have rushed to my defense over the past 2 days, I think of those Muslims in this city who do not have the luxury of being the Democratic nominee, who do not have the luxury of being deemed worthy of solidarity. While my opponents in this race have brought this hatred to the forefront, this is just a glimpse into what so many Muslims have had to endure every day across the 5 boroughs that we call home. And while it would be easy to say that this is not who we are as a city, we know the truth. This is who we have allowed ourselves to become. A question lies before each of us. Will we continue to accept a narrow definition of what it means to be a New Yorker that makes smaller the number of those guaranteed a life of dignity? Will we remain in the shadows, or will we together step into the light? There are 11 days remaining until Election Day. I will be a Muslim man in New York City each of those 11 days, and every day that follows after that. I will not change who I am. I will not change how I eat. I will not change the faith that I am proud to belong to. But there is one thing I will change. I will no longer look for myself in the shadows. I will find myself in the light. Thank you.
Yeah, good. I agree with Noah. I agree. He's adorable.
He's also tall.
Is he tall?
He is about 6'2".
Oh, well, I mean, and look, in reality, oftentimes elected leaders are tall. We've had tall presidents. I mean, and generally speaking, it's definitely a bonus point for people in life if they're born with tall genetics. It just is.
He's done very well, and he's gonna. I hope The only thing I hope for at this point, Jen, and you would probably agree, I just hope he blows him out of the water.
I think he will.
I think
he will.
By 30 points, he'll have a mandate. If he gets 60% of the vote, it's going to be very hard for them to say there will not be enough pushback from certain people to say that, yeah, he's getting at least one of these major policies through. He's going to get one of them. I think he's going to get the grocery store initiative. That'll probably be the one with the least amount of resistance, because everyone is suffering from having to pay exorbitant prices for the most basic needs in the grocery stores in New York. If anybody's ever experienced it, I certainly have many times.
I just hope that when he wins, that he has good security detail. That's what I hope. I mean, I hope he has it now, but I hope he has it as mayor. I'm assuming he has access to decent security detail.
Well, why do you think he wouldn't have that? I think is the more important question.
I don't know what the level of security detail is typically for the mayor of New York. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that entails. I don't know what but when you do have someone who is breaking barriers and, speaking truth to power, even in some regard, it's almost like you got to up the security factor for him.
Oh, I agree.
And if I were him, I'd get all different people. It has to be all his own people. Nobody who's been there before. Like I'd clean house.
Well, I would. You see, the one person that apparently he hasn't confirmed whether he'll clean house or not with is the New York City Police Commissioner, and that's Jessica Tisch, Steve Tisch's daughter. We do not need Zio billionaire token job takers in positions of power in New York City if he's taking over. Now, he may just be keeping his mouth shut until he wins and not saying anything beforehand. But to me, you got to get rid of Jessica Tisch. She's got to go.
Yeah. Well, I'm an abolitionist, so I want to get rid of that whole thing.
Well, I know that's what you want, but you can't always get what you want, and it'd be the next best thing, I would think.
Well, what I was going to say is, even though I am someone who does support abolition, I would have no qualms about someone like him having personal security. So, So I am, both of those things for me.
Guys, if you haven't smashed that like button, please make sure that you do. That would be tremendously appreciated. And please make sure that you share the stream. And please make sure, if you haven't already, subscribed. As of right now, we are over 81,000 subscribers. In fact, now we are at 81,261. So little by little, we're climbing up the ladder and getting ourselves where we need to go. Colin, please check the messenger, please. I want to point out this very important tweet, which I think is very telling. Look, I sent it several minutes ago.
I don't care when you sent it. Change your tone.
Colin knows I mean it with love.
I don't care what he knows. I'm asking you to please change your tone to him.
Argentina rejects socialism while New York City embraces it. The world is upside down. Let's stop it in New York City before it's too late. How do you want to do that, Bill Ackman? Do you have any ideas how you want to stop this socialist takeover of New York City? What are you prepared to do, Mr. Billionaire, hedge fund, Zionazi, married to somebody who's in the Mossad, scumbag of the earth, who doesn't even live in New York City? It's just his playground.
Do you see? I love that first comment.
Hey, Ackman, we just see in Argentina $40 billion.
No, I'll do it. You're just sort of, you didn't even recognize how cool it was. So Empire of Lies responds, hey, Ackman, we just sent Argentina $40 billion to prop up their failing economy, you absolute moron. Why are you billionaires so uniformly stupid? I don't know. It's because they're surrounded by people that are constantly hyping them up and are just toadies. They're surrounded by people that eat their shit and ask for more. So nobody ever tells them when they're stupid.
Before we bring in our esteemed guest, I just want to read off this list. Since Milei Milikowski, apparently he's like, they've been saying that he and Milikowski are related. It wouldn't surprise me if they were. It's Milikowski. Milei. Anyway, since Milei has taken over Argentina, poverty reached 20-year high, over 50%. GDP shrank 5.3% this past fiscal year. 18,000 businesses closed by July of 25. Unemployment over 8%. 34 billion debt increase to IMF. 35% of the country can't afford food. Peso fell to record low since 2009. Collapsed 99% over the past 10 years. Privatized the energy sector. We wonder why. Major energy blackouts struck the capital. Sent gold reserves to London. And finally, received a 40 billion with a B bailout from us. But hey, Milei converted to Judaism and was awarded the Jewish Nobel Prize.
The Nobel Prize is ridiculous. At this point, we all need to be celebrating the Glamour Woman of the Year is obviously a much more meaningful honor than the Nobel Peace Prize. So it's just, you want it. That's what I would say to Blackman. We are in an upside down world, Bill. We're in a world where the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize is a warmongering corporate whore, and the winner of the Glamour Woman of the Year is the person who should have won a Nobel Peace Prize and is like one of the biggest humanitarians right now.
I think he converted to Judaism for the jokes. That's right.
We can't even have fun with it anymore. Everything is tainted. Everything is ruined now that touches that piece of shit.
Hey, what's the difference between a dentist and a sadist? Newer magazines. And if this wasn't my daughter's wedding, I'd kick your teeth in.
I'm serious. Like we can't do. It's like it's not good to me anymore. It's like it's.
It's a shame that Seinfeld and Messing didn't end up together. I mean, they hate the blacks, the Jews. Well, not the Jews. You get the point. They would have been so perfect together.
They're bigots.
They are. The bigots should be together. Noah, are you there? I see you're in the studio, but
guys, our guest is Noa Avishag Schnall, and she is a visual artist, and she is someone who, like I had said before, was on the Freedom Flotilla, and we watched her message before, and she's there. She's in the green room, but I don't see her. I don't know if she's there.
I hesitate to bring her in because I don't know if she's actually ready.
Like the thing is there, but there's no visual.
That's true. So
she was there for a second.
Oh, you mean you saw her?
I saw it was a room and the camera was getting set up and stuff. So she might have a technical situation that unhooked the camera because I saw something very, very briefly.
Well, maybe she's still getting set up. Let's see. Oh, hey, I'll replace her for the one we had to dump. Be with you in a few. Okay, so. Okay. Is still working on some stuff behind the scenes.
Okay. So this is the replacement computer from the one that got dropped into the Mediterranean.
Oh, really?
That's what it says. This is her replacement computer for the one we had to dump in the Mediterranean.
I just want to show people something very funny that I think is going to go viral now, and maybe we'll do another round of super chats. But last thing regarding Zohran, and he did his rally in Queens last night. So, of course, AOC was there, and so was Bernie. But also, Governor Hochul decided to show up, and this didn't go very well.
It's Hochul.
Hochul. That's okay.
Yes.
What they're really saying is "Let's go Bills." So that's the new "Let's go Brandon." Apparently, that's what ended up happening.
They turned it into that.
Yes.
Tax the rich.
No, Hochul was asked in a press conference earlier today. Hey, did you hear what they were chanting? Yeah, I thought they were saying "Let's go Bills."
Yeah.
They're not going to win.
No.
They're just not going to win. Speaking of winning. even though some people would like to think that this is not a form of winning. Every day that we continue to draw attention to what is going on in Gaza is a day that we get closer to the Palestinians being free. And somebody who decided to put their life on the line to try to do that was not just anybody. This person is from the Middle East and is Jewish. And despite what everyone, not everyone, okay, let me rephrase, what a lot of people who follow our channel are still convinced that this is a Jewish problem and not a Zionist Jewish problem, is failing to recognize that the only way we're going to end the Zio state and its stranglehold over us is if we distinguish the difference between Zionism and Judaism. And who better to talk about that than Noa Avishag Schnall. I hope I got it right. Welcome to Revolutionary Change.
Hi, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties before.
No, it's okay. And also, thank you. It's got to be really late there. I mean,
Shit, now I can't hear you.
You can't hear us?
I can only hear one of you. I can hear one of you.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry. I don't know what's going on.
It's okay.
One audio, but not
not the other. Strange.
Yeah. We've never had that before.
No, that's a first. So what
the old computer wasn't working, so now I'm on the phone that I just got. Sorry.
It's okay. No, it's okay.
No, it's all good. And
you need to go ahead, Peter.
Okay.
I'll be the translator. That is my job now. Noa.
Okay, I'll try and read lips. I don't know. We'll make this work.
First and foremost, thank you for all that you do. We have
thank you for having me here.
Of course. And we've obviously been in touch with numerous members who have been on the flotilla. Your story is certainly not unique. This is a vile, genocidal, insane regime of people that we cannot get out of our crosshairs fast enough. At the beginning of the show, we played your explanation regarding what the experience was like going through the detainment. What first inspired you to get involved in this? And what has been your experience like since then in terms of how we're going to continue to build the momentum towards the freedom of the Palestinian people?
Well, I can tell you the reason I got involved, if that sort of addresses both of the issues. I've always seen it as a responsibility that I hold to the Palestinian people who I see as family, as siblings, not just as fellow Swana, which I much prefer to Middle East, Southwest Asia, North Africa, much more accurate, less Eurocentric.
I told you.
As just an obligation to other humans. It seems pretty obvious. But also particularly as, an Arab person, specifically as a Yemeni person, these are kith and kin, how can we just watch this suffering? And, a lot of Jews will say, not in my name, but it's so much more broad than that, why can't it just be not in the name of humanity, And so when I had the opportunity and I met somebody that works sort of at a high level at the Freedom Flotilla, the first thing I said to them was, when you have an open space, call me, please, call me. And that sort of one thing led to another. But in terms of Zionism more broadly, I grew up in an extremely Zionist household. My dad was principal of a Hebrew school. My parents met when my dad volunteered on kibbutz during a time of war, we can call it. And my mom was doing her service. So, my sister and I are like the children of Zionism. And it just never sat right with me personally. It took a while to get out of that bubble in Los Angeles, which is where I grew up. And actually, I had to leave the United States to exit it fully. That's the short version.
I would also comment on that, being that you were from LA, and talk about a tale of two cities. I'm from New Jersey, and if you know anything about North Jersey, I grew up in I would say that where I grew up in New Jersey, it was a mix of Italian, Irish, and Jewish. And one thing that I noticed very early on was this sort of victim mindset that people who grew up in comfortable, it's always weird. It's weird when people that actually have ways and means act like they're victims. I don't understand that. But then when I started seeing things in later years, like I didn't understand what the land sales were. Now I do. And do you think, being from the outside looking in, being that you're in a country that when people get pissed off, they put their yellow vests on. In this country, it doesn't seem like we're just about ready for revolution, but I don't think we're as far away from it as maybe people think we are. I feel like we're getting closer by the day. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I don't know how many people of your watchers know that I live in France. So the yellow vest reference landed with them. I don't know. Okay. But yeah, from being born and raised in the United States, yeah, watching from afar, maybe it seems a little bit more obvious. I can't speak on what it feels like living inside the US because I haven't lived in the US in a very long time. But yeah, it seems close to popping off these days. Every time I come back to visit, especially with like the wealth gap growing greater and greater, and just general access to rights that are considered to be democratic just eroding at a faster pace. I don't understand, especially since I've seen more and more what it's like to live in a somewhat socialist lifestyle government, and that's eroding as well. How people aren't doing more and committing to more decisive action to get those things back or get them for the first time, I guess.
Would you, Peter, ask her about?
I wish I could hear you.
I'll translate.
Okay.
So, like, what it's like for her with her Zionist family now, like how this has been with her Zionist family, that what she's done in her position and all that.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? Je m'appelle. What was it like? What type of relationship do you have with your family today? Do you have one at all? Because we're good friends with Jordan Cheriton. Jen comes from a Zionist family in North Miami. Jordan comes from a Zionist family on North Shore of Long Island. He has his issues with his father in particular. Jen obviously has issues with people that she grew up with. Thankfully, not her parents, but with certainly a lot of her former friends now. So, what's that experience been like for you?
Well, I'll start with friends first because that's a bit easier. I've been anti-Zionist for a really long time. So the phasing out of people that I grew up with, I mean, a lot of people have been using October 7th as a benchmark. I don't like to do that. Some of us are forced to do that these days just because of news, whatever. But so if we were to use October 7th as a benchmark for losing friends, that wasn't an issue for me because those people had been phased out a long time ago. Maybe, one or two holdovers that I didn't know had such deep rooted feelings sort of rising to the surface, and that became their issue and not mine. But for family, I'm sort of a black sheep anyway with my views. And so I was sort of tolerated in extended family circles for my views. I'd been reporting on racism in occupied Palestine, European colony known as Israel, 48 Palestine, whatever you want to call it. And that had never gone over well. But right after, again, using October 7th as a benchmark, unfortunately, I started to get death threats. My cousins, my aunts and uncles that changed my diaper or whatever, just immediately, you're a shame to the family, all these kinds of things. But in terms of my immediate family, there had long been a trend of me just trying to open closed eyes, and that wasn't going to happen. So it hit a breaking point. Sorry. It hit a breaking point, and now we just don't speak. And that's very sad.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that? Because this is not unique to your story. This is a very common occurrence with people that, if they choose to see the light, very rarely are they able to see it. with being able to shine it on other people that are from that same circle. And if they can't see it, they just choose to ignore it. Even at the risk of knowing what's coming, knowing full well how much worse it's going to get, particularly for Jewish people in the United States, because that's coming. And why they refuse to have a come to Jesus moment, no pun intended, why they refuse to see the reality of what this is, how they've been lied to. This was never about protecting Jewish people. This was all about a settler colonial project for war and profit, period. And why they just refuse to see it.
That kind of reckoning sort of shakes the foundation of everything that Zionists have been taught. And in that moment, I don't even think they would call it Zionism. They would just call it Judaism, right? And it's been so conflated for their entire lifetimes. And it has been since pre-founding, right? Because that was the plan all along. And so for people, particularly in my family, who are embedded in the Jewish community, Jewish education, summer camps, like all of it, all the things that would be tokens of growing up Jewish in the United States. It is, you can't show any cracks in the foundation because the whole house will fall apart. It will just fall down, and you can't do that because their entire life lives on that foundation, right? So anytime I would send this article or anything that I would do to try and show not just humanity, because they themselves are sort of hippies, right? They get the humanity part, or sort of, but to shine a light into the inhumanity of Zionism that you just wouldn't pierce the cloth.
I come from a mixed family. I have a Jewish mother and an Irish father, and I have always identified with my Irish side much more so. And I have to say, I am extremely proud of my Irish brethren in particular. As I'm sure you know, Ireland has elected not just any president, but a president that believes in Palestinian liberation and that the state of Israel is a genocidal state. And if you ask me, that's one of the more positive developments, but I'm not surprised because Ireland has often been at the forefront of these fights.
Yeah.
And I cannot say enough good about what they have done, especially in lieu of the fact that I've covered Tommy Robinson a handful of times and what's going on in the UK. This is just with so many dark clouds hovering over us. This is a very bright light painted in green and orange. And I'm very proud to say that my people definitely get it. And I would imagine that you're probably very happy that Connolly won as well.
Absolutely. We had several Irish people on the Flotilla as well. And, the history of Irish resistance is recent and strong. And the connection between Irish and Palestinian people is as strong, and they reinforce each other. And, also if you look at like the UNIFIL troops in Lebanon, just the incorporation of them in the region, it's palpable, like they know firsthand what's going on in the region.
Peter Travers wants to know if she knows Tig.
Do you know Tig Hickey?
Did you know Tig?
Yeah, I mean, not personally, but of course.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been trying to.
There you go, Travers. She knew him.
Yeah, we've been trying to connect with him to get on the channel as soon as possible.
We're times.
Well, if I talk to him, I'll let him know.
Tell her I'm a time zone elitist, and that is definitely one of our barriers.
Yes, one of the big issues that we obviously have with trying to communicate with people around the world right now is the fact that you are being extremely gracious to us, being that I believe it's at least 1, if not 2 o'clock in the morning where you are right now. So for you to do that is extremely appreciative on our part. We were actually attempting to do a live stream the other day with a couple of professors over in China, and they had to cancel last minute. And I had just gotten up at 6 o'clock in the morning to make sure that I was not that I get up late, but 6 o'clock to be able to do that and all that good stuff. Yeah, it's It's definitely not fun, although I would rather stay up late than get up really early. Do you have a preference between the two?
Like it's 1:30 right now and that's fine, but at like 3, 4-ish, that's when it gets a little bit tough. But I'll tell you what, not to make anyone sound ungrateful. I am just so happy that we have a connection, like not between us, although it's lovely that we have a connection between us, but I mean physically
Hey, I shot
have
my shot. It didn't fall.
Wi-Fi and
I
like,
shot, you know what I'm saying?
but because we were trying to connect on the boat with Palestinian journalists and medics, because our boat was dedicated to medics and journalists. And just anytime, I don't know what just happened on the screen. Is the connection still okay?
I can still hear you. I can still see you.
Okay, great. Anytime it would waver or would disconnect and reconnect, it was just, a blessing when we could maintain it for more than a few minutes. And so this now is like, okay, yeah, we had a couple technical issues and I'm sorry I can't hear a little bit, but
ask her if she'll come back sometime.
The screen is bright. We made it work, so I don't take it for granted.
Jen wants to know, even though this has been a short conversation so far, we're not done yet, but wants to know if you will come back again, especially if we can commingle with, like, let's say.
I want to talk to her because you're not doing a very good job translating for me.
I'm not? What am I doing?
No, you're not. You're
not translating?
And you're not saying it what I want you to say. You're sort of getting to the point of what I want
to say.
Okay,
so say what you want me to say and I'll say it again.
I said, would you ever come back on so I can talk to her at some point?
Will you ever come back on again so Jen can talk to you, since right now she's restricted or you're restricted, whichever one that
is. Sure. I'd love to. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So there you go.
Can I just say one thing about what I said earlier? I feel like I left something out.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we were talking about like my background and I'm Yemeni and everything. I'm also half Ashkenazi, which the DNA doesn't show at all. My mom's genes sort of ate my dad's DNA, but so people sort of think I'm only talking from one side. I grew up with my dad's side of the family. My mom's side of the family lives 100% in occupied Palestine. My dad's side of the family is Polish Jews. So some people think that, I'm only leaning towards one direction. It's just because I have no access to like the Polish Ashkenazi side that doesn't sort of talk about that kind of stuff. I don't know if anyone else has experience with those kinds of things. I tried to sort of engage with that, but then sort of went to Yemen twice on my own. And now I'm fully immersed in that, thanks to my Yemeni Muslim friends. Obviously, I experience it from the Jewish lens and my own research of that, but I'm half and half. So some people just don't understand that. And I thought that's worth adding.
Noah, since you are Yemeni, can you talk about the other genocide that people just don't want to acknowledge is going on? Because our very kind and gentle and much appreciated other ally in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, seems to be committing their own genocide of the Yemeni people. And we just want to pretend like that's not happening. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's over, isn't it?
Oh, it's over.
Hey, listen, I said it's over. And if I say it's over, that means it's totally over. Believe me.
Right. Yeah. And, also it's so interesting that like the agreement that was had that the Houthis, Ansar Allah, wouldn't attack the American boats, but said nothing about not attacking the U.S. boats, the Israeli boats anymore. Do you remember when that happened? In the Strait of the Bab al-Mandeb Strait?
They were trying to block it. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What can I say about that? I mean, it's a proxy war played on the soil of Yemen. And doesn't have the same power, the same leverage as the other countries in the region, and when people say the Gulf, I think people don't realize that it means every country on the peninsula except for Yemen, because it doesn't touch the Gulf regions. And it's just not the same power player in the region, but that sort of screws all of its nationals, right? It's been colonized, and I don't even know what to say without getting really emotional about it. I get emotional about all these things.
I want to go to Yemen.
But at the time, I wrote a book recently and didn't want to bring it up because I just want to focus on Palestinian issues, but it expands towards Yemen stuff as well. When I was writing the book, I think it was like over 800,000 children had died of some form of malnutrition or starvation because of the war in Yemen. And that was an undercount at the time. So it's just been neglected. And the economic situation in terms of opportunities for people living there, and the war continues, and it's just tragic. I was there not in August, but 1 year ago, August, for a wedding of a friend of a friend. And like joy and life and all these things, they persist throughout. Like you can find moments of that in Gaza as well, but that doesn't mean that the horrors don't persist.
Tell her it's on my bucket list, and I'd love to go to Yemen, and that it's one of the oldest places on the planet. Like, it deserves the utmost respect, but more importantly, it's the only nation abiding by international law.
Would you like me to recite everything you just said?
I know you can.
While I can translate that. I could probably do it since I'm pretty good on the fly. So Jen wants you to know that Yemen is on her bucket list. It's one of the oldest and most proud cultures on the planet.
Socotra, island of Socotra.
Island of Socotra in particular.
Been there. Yeah.
Oh my God, I want to go there.
You can imagine.
Before the UAE took it over. I was there in 2013.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but there's Dubai, Noah, and that's very important.
Ask her about the trees. Ask her about the trees.
I've spent a lot of time in the UAE, actually, in Abu Dhabi, because I have sort of like an adoptive family there, and now it's quite difficult to go these days because of the political situation.
I mean, I'm in commercial real estate, and I deal with all different types of people with, let's just say, ways and means. And when they talk about Dubai, it's like my brain immediately shuts off. I'm like, okay, if there is one thing I am very confident in saying, is that place only exists because of the filthy, rich colonizers that basically all decided that this is where we're all going to meet when we want to get together every once in a while. That's it. That's the only thing that I think of when I see that.
Well, you can't leave out the oil.
We're totally going there for the oil too. Don't forget about that.
Like BP oil in the 1970s that brought together the crucial states that were fine on their own, if you really want to get into it.
Jen, what were you saying?
Yeah, that they're the only country abiding by international law.
Yeah, the only country abiding by international law.
Is Yemen.
Is Yemen. Yemen is the only one. And one of the things that became crystal clear to me, and again, I want you to also be able to talk about what it's like from the European perspective, what it's like to be amongst the European culture in regard to how they feel about what's going on in Palestine, what is going on with how they feel about Israel as a whole, because we're stuck in a country that is the last bastion of hell that exists protecting the Zionist state.
Especially me.
Especially.
Well, I mean, there's Germany,
Let's not talk about the Germans right now.
No, tell her I'm moving.
I don't know if you're seeing literally every day the cops beating, I don't know, can you curse on this?
Of course you can.
Beating the shit out of protesters. Worse, I mean, I would never say worse than what happens to people by cops in the United States. I know better. But just beating protesters worse, I would say. Just going for them. Just yesterday, the day before, I mean, there was some German comrades on the boat who were amazing. Really, just almost in reaction to their own society, they were so good, Actually, a German colleague is the one that filmed that drop site video for me, because the German embassy were so much better than the American embassy and brought them a phone when all of us had nothing in Amman. But yeah, she was amazing, Sophia. Yeah, they get the crap kicked out of them all the time by the German police when they protest. But in terms of Europe and just how Zionism is swallowed here, which I think was sort of your question, I tend to go on a tangent. I'll give you a perfect example. This week, what are we, Monday, technically Tuesday for me. Wednesday, there's meant to be an event for supporters of the IOF and wounded soldiers here in Paris and in Marseille, so south of France, for people who don't know. And it had to be canceled because we made a bit of noise.
Good.
But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. That just means they're going to move it, right? So there's a huge contingent, particularly in Paris, of Zionist supporters here. That's not going to change. And the more noise, I would say they've always sort of been on the right of the spectrum in terms of politics, but they're moving farther right, because the left has less and less patience for them. And I think that sort of is seen in parallel across Europe. But then, of course, the march right to authoritarianism across Europe that was being felt for many years now, if Zionism is also going there, then it's not necessarily losing support.
Well, I believe that Zionism is losing support rapidly in the United States because of the fact that it has officially pissed off the libertarian right. And once you piss off the people that are armed, that's not good. That usually is when change
Is not everybody in the U.S.?
No, but they tell her that they
That's a
have
bad joke
definitely pissed off the red.
When you no longer live in the U.S., everybody has a cheeseburger and a gun. And okay, never mind.
Well, I would definitely say in the United States, we're the most armed nation on the planet for sure.
I'm
But
unarmed.
one thing that is different in terms of how things are moving along in the States, there is definitely a split in MAGA. On one side, you have, I would say Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens are at the top. And they, along with Thomas Massey, and even though I don't trust her as far as I could throw her, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who clearly is thinking about her political future. She's very good. She's a good politician. They definitely represent the America First movement that is anti-Israel. Then you have the other movement, which I think is losing its strength every day. And the only thing that's holding it together is the Donald. He's the only thing that's holding it together because everyone hates Ben Shapiro. Everyone hates Mark Levin. Everyone hates all of these shitbag conservative Inc. podcasters that are getting paid $7,000 a pop, including Emily Austin, who I met personally in Philadelphia when RFK announced his campaign. Little did I know who the hell she was at the time, but I found out shortly thereafter, oh, this is her. This is his AIPAC handle. Like, that's exactly who this woman is.
Yeah.
And so we're at a point now where something's going to give in this country. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but I am cautiously optimistic that we are heading in the right direction. I don't know if we can save the Palestinian people, but I know what we can do in this country. We can cut off the Zionist state. That's our goal.
Can I just have a little contention with a little bit of phrasing on the last thing of what you said? Because I don't disagree with you. I hesitate to say that save the Palestinian people because they don't need saving. We just need to end the genocide. I think they're perfectly capable of doing what they need to do to save themselves. We just need to stop people killing them. And maybe that's like a nitpicky thing to say, but I think words are important.
I agree.
Which is sort of what the mission was, to break the siege. Like, if we could just stop arms sales, if we could do really basic things like have nations uphold their duties as written in the UN, as sort of not useful as that is these days, but just really basic things like open borders and stop bombs dropping on them, I think they'd be quite capable of saving themselves.
Can you tell her that I don't think our job is to save the Palestinians, that it's our job to end the Zionist state?
Our job is not to save the Palestinians. It is to end the Zionist state.
That's
yes. Okay. So this is we're making the same point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And there is nothing wrong with making it. Listen, as courageous as you are, you could tell me to do whatever the fuck you want. I am more than happy with you giving me my business.
Not my style. It's like a certain,
right, Peter. It's
in
like
the same way, like I don't like saying the word Middle East, like saving a group of people. I have a degree in indigenous journalism. Like, I would just get slapped on the wrist if I didn't call you out for that.
Did you see the thing I put up on the screen before where I said that I am now going to refer to Europe as the Midwest and Middle West and the United States as the Far West?
Okay, so now Europe is going to be regarded as the Middle West and we are the Far West.
Correct.
For the foreseeable future. I hope that
But so Palestine is the center? Is that what I'm clocking?
Palestine is the center. Well, listen, at least you leave the Irish out of it, or the Scots.
But I've been saying West Asia, Peter, for a while. I've been trying to get you to say West Asia for a while.
Why don't we just read 1984, as everyone should read, and then they'll have a much better understanding of why we do the things that we do. Everything, and I mean everything, is in the name of money and power. The genocide of these people was brought about simply because they're in the way. They are expendable because there is $500 billion worth of natural gas under Gaza soil, and there is trillions worth of real estate redevelopment, of which Mr. Criminal Enterprise Kushner and Witkoff decided to say on national television just a week ago that
Whoopsies.
50 billion with a B.
Master plan. The master plan.
Master plan. 2 years in the making. Gee, what happened 2 years ago? Oh, this was a plan. So it was always a plan. This is the whole, but whether it's 9/11, October 7th, all this bullshit. But I want to end on a positive note, because I do believe that the new president of Ireland is going to continue to provide a pathway forward for us to continue to build momentum to end the Zionist state once and for all. One can hope.
The authority being very clear.
Yeah,
that
I mean, it would be
Hamas
nice to have
will
that
not
kind
be
of
part
leadership.
that new Palestine.
At what point did Israel achieve its military objectives? When 20,000 were dead, when 30,000 were dead? You made the comment. So at what point, in your opinion, was the military objective reached?
If I can come back there, my point was if they were. It's horrific that it happened in the first instance.
I think we have to begin to question the military-industrial complex and its connections with everything. We have no choice but to do that. And I go back to what's happening in Gaza. We have lost count of how many people that are dead, men, women and children. We refer to them on the RT News. Dozens have died. This is the type of language we're using with a genocide unfolding before our eyes. And we have a duty to ask questions. Who's connected to what? Who's backing up this? How is this happening under our watch? And we can only do that if we take off the blinkers and recognise what's happening. And if we accept genocide as it's unfolding in Palestine, what are the consequences, not just for Palestine, but for humanity? Where do we go next? I come from Ireland, a history of colonisation, and I would be very wary of telling a sovereign people how to run their country. The Palestinians must decide in a democratic way who they want to lead their country.
But after what happened on October the 7th, you think Hamas can have a role?
What happened on October the 7th, I'm on record for condemning. But history did not start on October the 7th. Of
course not.
Well, it's important to point that out and to look back on the history and the many, many atrocities committed by the Israeli government through their army. And so I don't think Keir Starmer should have any say about Hamas. It's up to the Palestinian people. What Keir Starmer and other countries should be doing is stopping the genocide. Absolutely calling out what it is, genocide, and using our voices to stop it.
I'm asking you this morning why you would say Hamas is part of the fabric of the Palestinian people.
I'll try.
Why is it always the whitest of white women that have to say this shit? I swear.
I can't hear you when that,
Interesting. We'll play it. I'll play it out.
I can answer that for you as best I can. They were elected by the people the last time there was an election. Overwhelming support for them back in 2006 or 7. And they are part of the civil society of Palestine. We are reliant on them for figures in relation to the deaths.
Do you regard them as a terrorist organisation?
They are prescribed as a terrorist organisation.
Do you accept that? Do you agree with that designation?
That's the designation. Israel is acting as a terrorist state. Both have to sit down at some stage. I mean, let's look at what Israel are doing and call it out for what it is. They're absolutely out of control.
And they need to be put down like rabid dog.
And they need to be put down like rabid dog.
Okay, now I can't hear both of you. This is
really. Let's try. Hold on. How about now?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Try refreshing your page.
What?
We hear you. Yeah.
Refresh your page.
Can't hear anything.
Yeah, she can't hear you telling her to do that.
Look in the chat. Look in the chat. Refresh your page. I'm going to try to
I'm going to read your lips.
Refresh.
Oh my God.
You're so
crazy.
Oh, there it is. Sign language or language. There you go. I didn't like the fact that she caved in any capacity. She had to sit there with that freaking bimbo being like, no, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you how it is.
I hear both of you.
Yay! So
Okay.
I just want to say, like, it is, to me, it's irritating when people I don't condemn Hamas. I never condemned Hamas. I never did in the first place. I
Jen,
don't think it's art. We don't get to tell oppressed people how to resist oppression. And so the fact that she even gave them that much was a little bit annoying to me. But I do agree with how she handled that in terms of she is a politician and she does need to talk to these people and she does represent other people besides just people who think just like us. So I understand it's definitely threading the needle there, but I appreciate how she handled that herself in those cases.
I just don't know what kind of neo-colonial hellscape we live in where we have to qualify that a certain people should be allowed to have their own representation. Like, why do we have to continue saying this, and particularly for the Palestinians? It's absurd.
Right. Well, why do we have to be condemning Hamas? First of all, why are we still discussing this like Israel has a right to do what it did when it had no right to do what it did? Like, we're still discussing this as to whether or not it is a genocide, but yet they're not discussing the main fact, which is Israel is the occupier in the first place. October 7th isn't the issue. The issue is that the Palestinian people are occupied and oppressed. That's the issue, right? So it's like they bury the lead every time. All they want to do is talk about Hamas. I'm so sick of hearing about it.
You're just being anti-Semitic.
No, I don't. You know what? I'm just I'm anti-Zio. But I don't understand how you can. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter, and I've been saying that long before October 7th. So you don't get to, and the fact how she handled with designated as a terrorist organization. Do you agree with it? Doesn't matter. They are like that is the truth, right? So I thought she was pretty good in how she handled that.
Concur. I want you to, if you could, on a final note, share with the not so informed Americans, despite all that's going on right now, what life is like in a social democracy where you have things like healthier food and
real bread,
bread,
yes,
butter,
cheese,
the
best art, the best culture.
Well, hang on. When we say the best art, are we considering the whole world here? Because they consider themselves to have the best art, but let's not be Eurocentric about these things. Okay?
Peter's very Eurocentric. He is, and he doesn't mean to be. He doesn't mean to be.
I mean, I know I look European, and I am European, so maybe I have.
You look German-Irish because you're fairly that.
That's because. So yeah, I'm a little biased, but all kidding aside, just the overall experience of what it's like being in a country that, however minimal the Macrons actually care about their citizens, I would imagine
he's hacking at that every day.
Yeah, I know, but I would imagine that the people that live in France or just in Northern Europe in general have more of a consideration for daily life and not suffering all the time. Like we tend to do here in the austerity hell that is the United States.
Yeah, and I briefly lived in Norway and Finland before that. So I've lived in countries. I've lived in countries that have supported their citizens. So I don't know how to say this without sounding like a douchey American that just came back from like a gap year or like a year abroad. But the food tastes better. Like you can actually taste what food from the farm tastes like because it's not actually traveling a great distance a lot of the time. So the preservatives aren't there, depending on where you're getting your groceries from. I mean, you can still go to like a mass grocery store and you're going to have those issues. But if you go to like a local trader down the street, of which there are many in walking distance, no matter where you live in Paris, you're going to taste the difference. So that's one. Yeah, no, that's one. And of course, don't get me started on the bakeries.
The bread.
The bread, and also, the price of baguettes is controlled, and it has been for a long time by the state because people understand your right to access bread should be equally available to everybody, So it's not going to be more than like €1 in an expensive, fancy bakery even, and less than that in other places. And all of these places are like almost all these places, you can find them like artisans. So they're going to be like, that's what they do well for a living. You know, it's not like they do this in many other things. Like they're a boulangerie, they're a bakery, and they specialize in that. So you know they're going to be good. So that's that. And then when we get to healthcare, which is, as an American, as you know, just everything when it comes to night and day, right? I'll give you an example that will hopefully illustrate the whole. I've had 2 surgeries since I've come here. Nothing serious, I'm fine, right? One, I arrived and it was, you know, like an emergency surprise situation. And I had no, or let's see, I had the price that it was, let me see if I can say this correctly. The price that I would have paid with no insurance the price that I paid with no insurance in France because I first arrived, I had no insurance, was less than I would have paid with insurance in the United States, right? Because now I have insurance, I had the surgery, it cost me $0. I spent the night in the hotel, anesthesia, the whole thing cost me $0 or euros. But I ended up paying like, I don't know, a little bit over $2,000 for emergency last minute surgery, night in the hotel, anesthesia, the whole thing. Unconceivable for someone in the United States, right? With insurance, it would have cost me more. Like, it just, things like that, little things, well, it's not little, but things like that where I'm just like, oh, I have to realize that I can breathe. I can use an ambulance if I want. I can get all the medications that I need. All of these things that aren't going to bankrupt me if I get cancer. It's just a safety net that works as it should. You know, you can go to the pharmacy, you could talk to a pharmacist and say, I have a cold, what should I get? You know, you don't have to work through like the Kaiser Permanente system or whoever you have.
Yep.
And that is just a breath of fresh air in itself.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the pharmacy method, and it's everywhere. It's in Spain, it's in Portugal, it's in Ireland, it's in the UK. That's just how it is there. And for people who don't know, in those places, you can walk into a pharmacy and get medication that you would have to make an appointment with your primary caregiver and get a prescription for, but you can walk into a pharmacy and the pharmacist can actually give you those things.
Yeah. And related to the Flotilla, actually, I obviously had to seek medical care afterwards. And within 2 weeks, I had seen 4 different kinds of doctors. You know, I had a scan of my head. I had seen a neurologist, sought psychiatric care, and I had a physiotherapist. Like that, you know?
Yeah.
And as much as I can criticize the French state, believe me, I can. That was easy and all covered.
Yeah.
I think this is a great place to conclude the conversation. I didn't want you to have to go too deep into your whole physical and psychological torture experience of dealing with Israel. I would think that that's something that probably is also still a very fresh wound, and we could probably revisit at another time. But
we
just
played your video. We played your video that you made when you came back before in our show, so that people heard the story. That's why we didn't. Yeah.
The one thing I will leave you with is that these people are cowards. They're the worst kind of people because, as I've pointed out time and again, if I was able to physically defend myself against any of these guys, they wouldn't probably last very long, but they like to take care of, they like to hurt women in particular. They also like to hurt men of color, as I've noticed.
Particularly. Anyone of color. Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely a Zio nationalist order that they follow. Very, very Nazi-like in a lot of ways, despite how much they try to pretend that they're not them, but they are them. And I can only say that your courage should never, ever be questioned, and it should always be heralded. There's not a lot of people that are willing to put themselves in harm's way the way that you have. And I can imagine that with all of the negative feedback I've heard, especially for Greta, and as I have told people time and again, I don't give a damn what you think of her politics and whether you agree that this planet is on fire, which it is.
Irrelevant.
You have to give it to anyone who's willing to get on those boats, especially in those conditions for weeks.
And she did it twice.
Yeah.
And she has a target on her back too, right? Because she's famous. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so you know any guard is gonna want to get their kicks in. Literally.
Yeah.
Because they're cowards.
Because they can, you know, it's like no power in their lives. So let me take it out on this famous person who hates us, you know?
Well, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And as long as we are all working in concert to make that so, we are going to make it happen. And one more time, thank you for what you do. Last words before we go. Anything you want to plug or mention?
Your book. Your book.
No, I don't want to talk about that. But I do want to say one thing. I was on a TikTok live the other day, and but a Palestinian came on to join the talk, and he was talking about some statistics. And, you know, human beings are not numbers. I don't need to reinforce this. I don't need to say it to you guys, but I wanted to reinforce that fact whenever I talk about statistics. And this is what he said. So if you just like indulge me just for 1 minute, what he said. So after the prisoner release, right? He says that there's 9,100 prisoners that are still in prison. Among them, there's 52 women and more than 400 kids, which according to the deal, the women and kids were supposed to be released first, right? So this is already breaking the deal. From the first day, they didn't follow him. More than 110 of the prisoners still in prison have life sentences. 3,455 Palestinian hostages are under administrative detention, which I'm assuming you guys know. I don't know if your audience knows.
They've had no due
they were never
process.
charged. They were never charged with anything. They're just indefinitely held, right? Like living in this pit of darkness. And 9 of the detainees have been held since before the Oslo Agreement. So since before 1994. So I just wanted to share that as someone who has been held by Israel, but has no comparison to what these people are going through and what the torture that they go through with no media attention. I just wanted that to be a part of this discussion.
It's so funny because I even said it in the first hour. I said, and what they went through as Americans is nothing. And I actually did. I said, I know there's like 500 kids and 50 women. It's so definitely on the same page. And then this is from Sherry. They need to know. They like your hair.
Oh God! Thank you.
Sherry says, what's her nationality? You're Yemeni, Polish, and what was the other thing?
So no, that's it. Yemeni, Polish, but my dad was born in the States and my mom was born in occupied Palestine. The first in our entire family to be born there. Everybody else was born in Yemen.
And you're talking Jewish Palestinians.
Well, yeah, I don't think that she would describe herself that. But
well, okay.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, because it was after the creation of the state, right? So it's not like they had been living there for a long time. So I don't even think that qualifies.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm just saying because people often forget that they're Palestinian Jews.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That have been there.
People forget that that's a thing. I'm like, no, it's a thing.
But it disqualifies you when you're a Zionist. Like, that's it. You lose your Jewish Palestinian card.
For sure.
Yeah.
All I can say is whoever gave you that shiner on your eye, try doing that with me. Just try it.
But I did get one kick in.
You got one kick
in? Sorry, what? I
was just going to say, or somebody who isn't handcuffed.
Right, exactly. on ankles and their feet.
Exactly.
And their hands, sorry. Yeah. No, because they were holding me up and then they took me into this little room and they had like on a little elevated area and they put me down. And as all of them were going at me and one, like, it was the back of the skull and then this eye. The reason I started kicking was not because of the punch, was because one of them like sat on my neck and face and I couldn't breathe. So I started kicking and I did connect. Good. With someone who clearly didn't like it.
Good.
But yeah.
Well, I appreciate you and your bravery. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. I mean, I do what I can for humanity and for our siblings in Palestine.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Great lady. And
yeah.
Talk about courage under fire. And heck, this is why we're here, guys. And if you did enjoy that conversation, which we hope you did, remember you can go over to patreon.com/revolutionary change for as little as $5 a month. You can become a supporter of our small but mighty and growing channel with amazing guests, as I'm sure you have noticed.
Yes.
Talk about a great conversation, to say the least. And that's the wrong one.
Well, it isn't actually. I did one for the pack. Now we have one that's done as an overlay, but then it's just so much bigger because it has the logo, but it is the same.
StreamYard link.
No. I have, right, correct. But I did one. We have, okay, so there's multiple. So like this, that is the Patreon.
Okay.
And right. And then this is the pack.
Interesting. No,
yeah, I added it, but only because when this one's up, sometimes it depends if we're in the right format. If we have 3 people, it covers ahead.
Okay.
But yeah.
Big shout out to Shaitan Dadan. I hope I said it right. Thank you. Thank you.
Shaitan.
Dadan. Thank you for the 1999. Very, very much. The amount of money being burned on Cuomo's campaign, 22 million and counting, while Americans can't afford to feed themselves, is a disgrace. We need to immediately pass a bill that taxes campaign donations of 10,000 by 200%. Listen, I am all for going after the rich in different ways, and that is one way.
That's pretty decent. Well, I mean, I believe publicly financed campaigns. I want to, you know what? And this is a very good point. $22 million these oligarchs are spending to defeat someone who wants to give money to people who need it. So they're spending more money to defeat him. And if they just took that money and, I don't know, fed and housed and gave transit to the people, then we wouldn't be in this situation.
His biggest donor is Michael Bloomberg, who destroyed New York, probably the worst. And his second biggest donor is Bill Ackman, who is talking about Argentina being the model for economic prosperity.
Fascist much? Listen, Bill, fascist much?
The way that they are, I listen, you want to see me turn into a commie? I would just say tax them at 100%. Like, people like that are so bad for humanity that they shouldn't have their wealth.
Well, I don't have a problem with an over 90% marginal tax rate. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, again, a 90% marginal tax rate means their effective tax rate would be about 43%.
Well, and I also believe we could have a cap. We need a cap.
Yeah, that's effectively what it would be. Navy EOD vet, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member.
Shih Tzu schmosh.
Nawal Najir, thank you so much for the $9.99. Thank you for your support of Palestine and your honesty and humanity from a Palestinian American.
Love you, Palestinians.
I hope I did that right.
That's pretty good for you.
That's not bad.
Do.
Oh, Lord. Balkan, thank you so much for the $49.99. Power to the people. Thank you for your work. Hey,
how does it pick what colors the different super chats get?
I like that. It's like
I was going to say I like that one, but I don't know if it just changes it every time.
Did you notice that their profile pic is regular purple? The bar where Balkan is like
it's slightly darker, but it's still hot pink. They're both hot pink.
No, the top one is more of a purple pink, and then the bottom is a hot pink.
They're both look pretty the same on my screen.
That's good stuff. JG, thank you as always, gifting 10 revolutionary changes.
JG is insistent that we make it to the 100,000 subs before I die.
We're trying. Going to get there. Libertarian Social Democrat with the $1.99. Always a pleasure. Pop Cuomo would have been ashamed of his son.
I've said that.
His sons.
Yeah, well, we're not even talking about Fredo.
We're not talking about Fredo?
We're not going to talk
That's
about
a slur
Fredo.
against Italian people, by the way.
No, it's not.
Oh, Tony. $4.99. Thank you for your courage and sacrifice, Noah. You are an inspiration, a scholar, a good soul needed in this world. And so are you, brother.
Yes.
Alex got mittens with the $5. They need saving. Tiny hats will not stop until everyone else is gone. This has always been my biggest concern with the Zionist state. No one concerns me more in terms of who would be more likely to drop a nuclear weapon than Gvir, Smotrich, or Netanyahu Milikowski.
Yeah, no, these are psychotic people. And, when we're talking about saving the Palestinians, the Palestinians are some of the most resilient people, the most dignified people on the planet. I have never met people like that before. They're like, they don't need us to save them. They need us to leave them the fuck alone. See, that's the thing. They don't need to be saved. They need to stop being killed. There's a very big difference. Our job is not to save them. Our job is to leave them alone. Our job is to stop the Zio state from existing.
A little bit of a chuckle from Ron McKinnon. Great to see you, and thank you for the $5. Jeffries regrets that his endorsement of Mamdani means giving up a new last line for his alphabet speech. That is one of the biggest shit-lib speeches of all time. Period. Zionism over Zohran. That's a shame.
Was that really said?
And he didn't really endorse Zohran.
Even if he did, who cares?
Yeah.
The only reason he's doing it is to cover his own ass because he realizes how overwhelmingly Mamdani won his district. And he is concerned about the potential of his ass being primaried, which it should be. And he is just one of the most pathetic people. The fact that they call him leader, Jeffrey. Are you fucking kidding me?
He's never even been the leader.
Whatever. He would be lucky if I would bother calling him Hakeem. Who the fuck do these people think they are?
That is exactly why they're in the positions they're in, because that type of shit matters to shit libs. What's my title? What do you call me?
I call you I call him an insubordinate employee. That's what I call him.
That's putting it very nicely. Emily, 70, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. Very much appreciated. And finally, Drew Zimmerman with the $10. Did you watch the Bernie Tim Dillon recent episode? Bernie didn't look prepared. Any thoughts on it? If you watched it, or maybe do a segment.
I saw a bit of it, and what I wanted to say, and I can barely watch that for a few reasons. One, I find Bernie, I have not been able to look at him for a few years now. For years, I'm over that. And I kind of find that Tim Dillon guy kind of really stupid. And I've only seen him a couple times on clips, and I find him very hard to digest. He's just kind of dumb. So I couldn't really watch it too far, but Bernie was embarrassing. Yes.
His shtick is not for everybody. And I do find it interesting that Bernie went on there specifically to peddle his book. And he tried to paint somewhat of a rosary language around talking about certain subjects while also bashing Trump at the same time. Look, in the end, Bernie had an opportunity to be a revolutionary, and he never was one.
No, he was a reformer. So I don't know if what you've covered that you still want to cover. I just had this one sort of fundraiser thing that I wanted to talk about. So tell me when I can do that. Yep. You want me to talk about it now?
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay. So guys, I saw this on Punch Up the other day, and Lila and Pat covered it. So there is this group in Richmond, Virginia, and this is one of the key points of what we talk about in terms of like mutual aid and smaller sustainable communities and us having to really help ourselves. And so they're having a fundraiser, but there's a little video that precedes it. And this is exactly the kind of stuff that we need to be supporting in this country. So this is the video. I'm going to play this.
Bridge Community Market. They are giving food to people. They're giving sanitary supplies, health supplies. And one of the reasons I'm here is that they are trying to buy this building
so that we can maintain this as a resource for folks.
So please join me in donating to help them get this building.
So Meadowbridge Community Market is a free grocery store. In addition to kind of run-of-the-mill groceries, we also have COVID tests, pregnancy tests, and Plan B, menstrual products. So things that like you can't get a lot of the times from like food pantries or like, food resources. We're trying to address not only like food insecurity here, but also like kind of the conditions that create food insecurity.
Some people might see the free grocery store as pretty much a food bank, but a lot of food banks have reporting guidelines that cut out people that need supplies that are not like worthy of it in that like charity mindset. So we are about solidarity, not charity. We want to buy the building and like permanently commit to this neighborhood where we're not reliant on the city government or the state or the federal government to worry about people and actually get people what they need.
We not only like see folks coming out like more and more actually, like recently on Saturdays, it's like increased significantly the amount of families that we're seeing, but a lot of other like groups and organizations like utilize the store for events and meetings, and you know, it's just like a place where like people can like really gather.
Being able to know that there are other people who share in my reality was like really important, and doing this work is really important. It's so wonderful that we have like a space now and like a community space. And even after we buy the building, we get a lot of supplies and like funding from like the government in one way or the other. And so like thinking like toward the future where like that's not really something that will exist, maybe. We'd like to be here long term, and there will be a million things for us to do forever and ever till all of us are free, I guess.
So guys, Brett Boyle, our trusty mod, has been there's the link for this fundraiser is in the chat, and I'm pretty sure Colin has also put it in the description. So this organization, Meadowbridge, they're trying to buy their building so that they can have that peace of mind and be able to continue to do this and be able to make in their own community. And this is in Richmond, Virginia. And this is exactly the kind of stuff that we need to be supporting for people and communities.
Guys, look, I'm not as woke, if you will, as Jen is, but I want to be very clear about this. This is not about purple-haired people wearing masks. This is about, can people actually put food on the table?
Yeah, yes. Exactly. I hear you guys. Yeah, I know what they're talking about with the mask. But you know what? Seriously, that's not the point. The point is they're trying to provide a service for their own people that they are not getting anywhere else. And that is exactly what we all need to be doing in our communities. That's exactly mutual aid. That's what we need.
And this is exactly why we cannot get distracted. Listen, if that's what they want to do, if they want to wear masks outside, let them do whatever the fuck they want. It's what it is, man. I don't agree with it. But in the end, they're trying to help their community, and they're trying to do it in an honest way. So that's why.
It would be one thing if that's what they were talking about, or if they were trying to impose that on people. It had nothing to do with anything. You all are just judging people for wearing masks. For all you know, she has some sort of pre-existing condition and is immunocompromised. We don't know anything. The point of the story is that we need community aid. They're trying to buy a building so that they could further help their people. That's it. The fact that she was wearing a mask, you people have got to stop politicizing that shit.
Got to get away from that. Now, if they politicize it, then it's fair.
Right. Exactly.
Do whatever you want.
Of course. She didn't say anything about it.
Yeah. I'm against the mandates, all that shit. And I'm for single payer, which would have probably prevented at least, I can't even imagine. It just would have been a completely different country. But speaking of which, and I want to set this up very carefully, so that people understand this, because I know Jen is going to want to make her points here. There are tens of millions of people, not just in the United States, but all over the world. In fact, if we're talking about the world over, it's probably over 100 million people that love Taylor Swift, that think that she's great and that her music is great. I don't agree, but hey, to each their own. And she is considered a global icon by most standards. But Taylor Swift is not who you think she is if you think she has humanity running through her veins.
Nope.
In fact, it's even worse because she's very sinister and undercover about it. So to kick things off, this right here is a man from her Eras tour, which ended in, I think, 24. Or his name is Aaron. This is a tweet directly from the Israel account. Israel has its own official Twitter account. Taylor Swift's Eras Tour bodyguard returned home to fight for his country. So right off the bat, you know they're lying because there's no such thing. It's just made up. Hey, Taylor Swift, we promise you'll never find another like him. We love you, Aaron. So already, you see what type of people she employs. Zion-Nazis in her midst. I know there was something that you wanted to point out as well.
You have a piece of it or just something I wanted to say about some of the fan base?
Well, the Swifties are certainly mighty.
Okay, so something came across through someone that I know, an acquaintance that I know on Instagram. So I came across something that was like Swifties for Palestine. Okay. You don't get to be that. You don't get to be that. That's having your cake and eat it too. So basically what you're saying is, okay, I know that she supports a genocide, but I like her but I want to show that I care about the genocide, but not enough to not keep giving money to go to all of her shows and all of this stuff. So that's not a thing. You don't get to be a Swiftie for Palestine. That is the dumbest fucking thing I have heard in a long time.
I know people that spend the type of money not just to see her, but to travel the world and see her.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And the thing is that I don't care how well-intended you are. I really don't. It's if you're supporting someone that has this Annie Lennox is awesome. That has this reach, this power, this money, and they're just so devoid of any real sense of morality or any sense of justice. And that's who you idolize. And you're willing to spend thousands of dollars traveling around to see them. And then you call yourself a Swiftie for Palestine. You're not computing. You're not computing. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. That's like saying, you
can't make her be something that she's not.
Just because you like her.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's how you know whether or not someone's committed to something. It's sort of like, it's easy to be pro-Palestine as long as nobody you really like is against, right? But then but you like her and you want to see her and, oh my God, and the stupid ass bracelets and whatever. I am so thankful I have boys. I am so thankful I have boys. And I never had to endure any of that shit. But it's like, yeah, Swifties for Palestine makes me want to like punch somebody.
And I've always given the best example of this is when it comes to Springsteen and Roger Waters. You have a person that has always had a reputation of just being an all-around great guy. Roger Waters has a reputation of being an asshole. But the big difference between the two is that Roger Waters has always spoken up, has always stood up on the side of justice. Now, Springsteen, up until just recently, also always stood up on the side of justice until he had to face the reality of whether or not he would cross some of his people to support to support Palestine, and he folded like a cheap suit. And that doesn't mean that Bruce supports Israel. It just means that he's too much of a coward to say that he doesn't. Now, in Taylor Swift's case, not only did she decide not to say anything, this gets even worse because she basically had her manservant, who's going to be her husband, decide to do it for her instead. This is pretty pathetic. And I want to give a shout out where it's due. Her name, the content creator's name, is Alicia Magdalena. Here's what happened with the Kelce brothers and the little nuanced language that they use to show their love and support for the state of Israel.
Between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift seems innocent until you realize it's soft PR for Israel right as they're being accused of genocide. In October 2024, a year into Israel's assault on Gaza, Travis Kelce mentioned on his podcast, New Heights with Jason and Travis Kelce, that Taylor Swift had introduced him to an Israeli restaurant.
She's introducing new foods to you, and this has been one of the greatest things that I've been happy about.
And the Israeli spot in Philadelphia. Zahav.
Yep, shout out to Michael Solomonov.
Well, if anybody knows that restaurant, I would suggest going there and holding up a Free Palestine sign. Although Lord knows there probably has happened that. But what in goodness gracious name would possess you to do a podcast a year into a genocide in Philadelphia, no less, and make this statement? You know, my lovely fiance introduced me to this Zahav Israeli restaurant, and it is fantastic. I mean, isn't that food incredible? What is the very dirty little secret about Israeli food, Jen?
It's not, there is no such thing. There's no such thing as Israeli food. Everything that is what you would see in an Israeli restaurant, it's Palestinian. There's nothing that's Israeli. That's not a real thing. It's like Disneyland. It's pretend. It's make believe. But also, this sort of goes hand in hand with the fact that, we're in the middle of watching a Holocaust live stream. You've got people like Miss Rachel that are taking a stand, and Taylor Swift releases some stupid album, and all the Swifties are going crazy. Like, you could not be more out of touch and just so living in the Capitol and the Hunger Games and just completely oblivious to the world around you. Shame on anyone that's what they're thinking about in this world, truthfully. And honestly, she's just not that good. I mean, I don't know about her as a performer. I'm sure she does a great show, but like her music to me is just not like, I have not been that impressed with it, but I'm not a pop music person anyway.
Not really. There's only one king of pop, but nevertheless.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I like that spot a lot.
Yeah.
The restaurant's menu is filled with traditional Arab dishes, but celebrated as modern Israeli cuisine. That label erases Palestinian and Arab origins. And it's an example of how food can be used as soft power and cultural propaganda only 76 years into this Israeli nation-building project. This moment also raises questions about Taylor Swift's proximity to Zionism. A year earlier, one of her security guards returned to Israel to join the Israeli military after October 7th. And she's never publicly addressed Palestine. Swifties around the world have brought Palestinian flags and Free Palestine bracelets to her shows.
And they don't give a shit.
And they're still paying to go to her shows.
2 years. 2 years.
Yeah.
Over 2 years.
Go make some bracelets.
Into this genocide. And she has not addressed it once.
That's
very, I mean, honestly,
it's shameful. It's
shameful. That is impressive how no one has confronted her to say, why won't you address what's going on in Palestine? They have tried doing chants at her concerts. No avail.
No, because she doesn't give a shit. She's laughing all the way to the bank. Whatever. I've seen and then there's people that think she's sort of a plant too, and I kind of do. But she is talented. It's not my vibe. It's not my thing, but she does write music and she does perform. It's not like Gal Gadot Greenstein where she really can't act or do anything, and that's a plant. So, I mean, Taylor Swift is a musician. I mean, whatever. She's apparently, complicit with genocide, so there's that, but
she's apparently an inspiration somehow.
Yeah, she should be embarrassed for herself. Shame on you. You're a disgrace. Disgusting.
Even creating fundraisers under the banner Swifties for Palestine. Meanwhile, Taylor herself remains silent. And in this context, even a restaurant recommendation can speak volumes. Do you think this was intentional propaganda or just ignorance?
In fucking intentional.
100%. They were paid by some sponsor somewhere, somehow. To me, everything about these brothers, this is like, they're the anti-Manning brothers to me. That's how I feel about these.
That's a great example.
They're the anti-Manning brothers. So first of all, besides promoting horrible, disgusting sugar food, which is how I know these guys really anyway, but
I'll do you one better.
Well, everything they do is for a paycheck. Everything. I have never seen to me, the Travis Taylor thing is the most corporate whore couple I can even imagine currently right now.
Well, I definitely agree, Ghost Start, that $7K is in the bank every time they open their mouth because that's what they're paid to do.
They're bigger than that. It's bigger than that for them. We're not talking about influencers.
Just so you guys know, we were on Travis Kelce a couple of years ago when this guy was out there doing commercials for Pfizer.
Yeah.
Telling you to go out there and get your booster shot.
Yeah.
Like,
he's a corporate whore. Completely. It pisses me off that people who are athletes do commercials for the most unhealthy, processed, disgusting, refined sugar foods that appeal to children. Like, no.
There's one thing that everyone should understand about the music industry is that, with rare exception, and I mean the rarest of exception, do people with actual talent get through without actually going through the powers that be. And yes, paying homage to Israel is something that a lot of them do. It's no different than when somebody decides to take the paycheck from Saudi Arabia and pretend like they're not committing horrific, despicable human rights violations. That's why David Cross went after Mark Maron and Dave Chappelle and, you know, a handful of others that decided to take their money.
I guess the issue I have with them, with her, with Taylor in particular, is it's just a brand. It's just so easy to, you know, we make special bracelets and we change a different outfit for every song and all the kids know all the things. It's like, it's such groupthink. It bothers me from that perspective. But when you have that size of a platform and you have fuck you money and you don't speak out when something is happening like this, you're shameful. That's where you will be. That's your stance in history, is you're pimping out food that's Palestinian food is Israeli and ignoring the fact that we're having a Holocaust. But sure, change into another dress and dive down in the center of your fucking arena.
And one thing also I want to mention that I really hope people would understand. I'm not here to say that Iran is a saint of a nation. They're not by any stretch. However, if you're going to compare human rights violations between Iran and Saudi Arabia, there is no comparison.
Oh, God, no.
We do business with Saudi Arabia, and we do not do business with Iran.
Good for them.
That's it.
Well, we don't honor agreements. We don't honor agreements. We're the ones who violate every agreement. The Iranians were abiding by the JCPOA. They weren't having a problem. They even stayed with it and were abiding by it a year after we left it.
Victoria, you caught my eye. So
yes, but
if there was one person who's even more disgraceful than Taylor Swift, granted, I'll say that Taylor Swift has more talent than DJ Khaled, but DJ Khaled is Palestinian, and that fat fuck lives in South Florida in the same congressional district that Jen lives in, and he hasn't said a word. I just want all these people to have to have a good life and be in it. Well, first of all, he's definitely involved in the Diddy shit. So
yeah, he's controlled. He's compromised for sure.
Yeah, he's been in a few videos. But this is, again, what it comes down to. You are either a part of the system or you're not. If you want an honest system, it's going to require a revolution. It won't happen any other way.
No. I wish it would. We tried that.
They're daring you at this point.
Well, and they're not just daring you. They're wanting it to happen.
They are.
They're wanting it to happen for sure.
Kind of inevitable at this point.
Well, look, we're poking everybody. We're poking our own people. We're poking over at Venezuela. We won't leave Russia alone. We can't leave China alone. We're all in everybody's business in, Palestine. Like we are, I watched the video. I think I sent it to you. We are at the 5th stage of the 7 stages, the collapse of empire. And it is the next step, which is step 6, is we will no longer be the world currency.
Yep.
And that's coming. There's no way around that at this point.
We've got one more segment to do before we end for the evening. But if you guys have not been checking, if you haven't been checking out our clips, our next clip will drop at the top of the hour. Check out what Israel has people go through, like Tommy Robinson, the humiliation rituals that they put people through in order for them to get paid and be considered an ally. It's not worth it, no matter how much money they promise you. Plus, you're an accessory to genocide if you do. Now, one thing that you and I have talked about at length for a while is that we are convinced that lizard people walk amongst us.
Oh, yes.
And there is somebody with a very large platform who, for the first time, decided to make a clip detailing why she's convinced that we live amongst lizard people. Candace Owens, you're up.
I don't even think these people are human. Like, I look at Elon Musk and Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, and I'm pretty sure they're hybrid. You know what I mean? Like, they just look like an Apple software that I should be able to download at night, you know?
Yes.
Like my phone's getting an update or something. It's something in the eyes. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I know I'm human, but I don't know if I stabbed you if you bleed, you know? I'm not going to stab them, but I don't know if they bleed all the way. I think a battery would fall out. You know what I mean? And
Peter Thiel glitches. That's how android he seems to me. He glitches. Like, well, and the truth is I mean, for me, he's way more like a lizard person, and Debbie is a lizard person. But yeah, these people, I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't all AI.
No, but there is definitely, particularly Wasserman Schultz and Thiel, I'm telling you, there is, why hasn't Debbie been in the chat? Debbie, show your real face if you have an opportunity.
No, we don't need to see that. Look away.
But listen, I've been in Debbie's presence enough. First of all, anyone who has ever been in her presence that is being objective has always said, I feel a very negative energy when I'm around her.
Irene wants to know what we mean by lizard people. Like, there's something, and again, no diss to reptiles, but there's something very reptilian about some people. And like with Debbie, if you ever can, and again, I do not do this like, you know, on a full stomach by any means, but if you see a picture of her, if you go and look really close up and look at her eyes, there's something very like serpentine in her.
You look in Thiel's eyes when he glitches, when he's being asked.
Yeah, there's something just reptilian.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to break out of his skin.
Right.
That's what it looks like. So Candace is onto something here.
And I just get that sense. I've always known it was demonic. And people just get on board because, as we talked about in this book, they are using science and this idea of technology and this idea of transforming society for the better to indoctrinate us into accepting this. And it's wrong and it's backwards. And the main component of all of this is psychology, right? They're able to do it because of psychology, making you think that society has gotten better. Our kids have objectively gotten dumber. We've become fatter. We've become less healthy. We've become less emotionally sound. And yet they are convincing us that this is like humanity's great leap forward. We put a man on the moon and he just like called them up and was like, hey, Prez, what's up? I'm up here. Yeah, it's so cool. It's really
all right.
Like, nice.
We don't need to get into moon landing issues.
No, but it's almost like Candace is like channeling a little spirit animalish stuff with you right now. It's like,
I don't want people to think that we're like two Candace Owens, like, cause I'm not, I'm not a supporter. I don't follow her. I don't watch her. I just see these things when other people forward them. But
yeah, it's always weird when a friend of me can actually say a lot of the correct things. It is interesting.
Every night up here, Cam and text you, I go by in 69 and they get these people, they tell you like, he's a genius. They're all writing like he's a genius. So we should just accept that Elon Musk is a genius because like all the writers who are obviously indoctrinated into the occult are telling us that this is the next person that we should worship. The establishment of Hollywood, it was all occults. They were all Aleister Crowley proteges who were just raping kids and summoning demons, and demons are real. So at the same time that they're summoning demons, they are making us all believe that faith is not real. And
what do all three of these lizard men have in common?
Gluttonous displays of wealth and a penchant for authoritarian fascism.
And they all support the genocidal state of Israel.
Oh, of course.
And Sam Altman, apparently, I think we could probably say this of all people in positions at that level, but Sam Altman had to remove somebody and was able to successfully sweep it under the rug and has never been brought to justice for it as a result. Look into that little story if you haven't.
That has been, I think, the greatest trick that the devil ever played, right? Is making people think that he didn't exist and making people atheist, making people believe that there's nothing, like you're here for a moment in time, because then it allows them to further tether us to their reality and to their God, which is money, right? Well, if you truly knew and believed, like I do, I actually know that this is not it. Like I know this is not it. But if you truly believed that, you wouldn't sell your soul. People think that that's just like an expression. Oh, he sold his soul. No, you are literally selling your soul. Like when you tell lies and you go down a path of lying because you're so afraid of not having the security of a paycheck, or you're willing to do something terrible to maintain that job, or keeping your mouth shut to maintain that job. We're seeing it right now with the Charlie Kirk case, right? You're selling your soul. Like there's a life after this.
Okay,
So,
we could agree to disagree on that, but instead of saying they're selling their soul, what I would say as somebody who is an atheist and that, it's eroding. It erodes whatever humanity that you have left. It absolutely erodes your soul.
And it becomes even more obvious when people are talking about Randy Fine, for example, and the language that he uses, and people are saying repeatedly that this is bad for the karmic alignment of the universe. The fact that people like this can say these things, these genocidal things, these inhumane things, and that we have created this world of Zio scum billionaires that have completely broken the economic system. They can do whatever they want and they can't lose. How do you become as rich as Elon Musk if you're not cheating the system? Or Thiel, if you're not creating the ultimate surveillance state through Palantir? Or Sam Altman?
Right. Hence all billionaires are bad. They just are.
They have made you pledge your allegiance to their dollar because they know life is going on. They know that. They want you to literally sell them your soul. That's my personal belief. It's why I am religious. It's why I speak about my faith openly, because I just know if this is not it, and I just know these people are demons. Like, I don't know. They just like look at the way they breathe. Like, you know what I mean?
I have to address this because hold on. Where to go?
Colin, I need the tweet, please.
Hold on. So, Emily, atheist can be considered a religion, way of living. No, actually, and I've seen debates on this. Atheism is not a belief. It's actually the opposite of that. So it isn't a religion. There's no center. There's no central person. There's no dogma. There's no consensus of any sort of structure. So no, it's not a religion. It's the anti of that.
I agree. I don't have a problem with that. And I do think that people have the right to feel this way. I think
I don't care.
I think that her message is fine. I don't agree with it, but I do believe that whether you want to call it your soul or your spirit, he needs more than that, Day Jones. He needs a lot more than that. But I bring this up because if you have any doubt that the powers that be took out her friend, Candace decided to release the text messages when she got back, I guess I think she got back earlier today. She was on sabbatical for like 2 weeks or something.
She needs to be in hiding.
Oh, I'm sure she
After
is.
this?
You're out in public. Oh, yeah. So, well, talk about now. Okay. So this was dropped earlier today. So there are, and I don't know, Colin, if you can blow this up a little bit, but there are 2 text threads that Charlie and this is from our friend James Lee. Guys, subscribe to James Lee's work at 5149 if you're not already. So these were 2 text messages that were dropped between Candace and Charlie shortly before he was assassinated. Colin, do you have both? I can't tell if this is the first one or the second one.
I'm not sure what that one is. Okay, yeah, that's the message that's Charlie to Candace, right?
Yeah, I know that there's 2. So this is the first message, Colin? Okay. So I guess this just like starts in some, all right, let me.
You're in the middle of they probably have a 10-year chat thread.
Yeah, of course. So yes, I do. Yes, Kane, you are going to be the Iron Lady of America. I see it so freaking clearly. I might be Moses, though. Not really. No. I might not see this whole thing through. LMO, laugh my ass off. If that is the case, be my David. Dude, you don't even realize your power yet. If I tell you the true prophecy, I know in my gut, it's really sad, but I hope I'm wrong. So the next one says.
Anyway, and this is still Charlie going, yes.
Charlie. Anyway, I'm not sure if I will live to see the end of this revolution. At least you knew a revolution was coming. I believe you were the peace God meant me to meet that will finish the fight. Since the beginning of TPUSA, I knew in my gut that I might get wiped out at any time. I cannot explain it, but I dream about it all the time. Like, all the time. Anyway, that's depressing convo for another night and for another time. That is so weird. This is from Candace. More a fear manifestation than an actualization. Not really afraid of it, but I'm just telling you what I know to be true.
So, point being, Charlie knew, had a sense that they were going to come for him.
But it's all just coincidence, guys.
Right. It's all just coincidence.
Tyler Robinson did it. They have his palm print. And
it's over. Nothing is here.
Don't pay any attention to the cleaning of the crime scene.
No autopsy.
No autopsy.
No autopsy.
No grieving widow.
No burial.
No burial that we know of.
No, there's been no, I mean, it's the whole thing. So you're telling me there was a funeral and it wasn't covered on the media?
Just a celebration of life.
Yes, that they had reserved that space however many months in advance before he was dead, since May.
So I will probably cover George Zinn on Saturday. I mentioned that just this Saturday that passed. His story is very interesting, and I haven't even been able to, again, there's a lot to this, but I want people to understand. And the reason why I push this as much as I do is because I'm not relying on the Jewish Zionists to see the light. I'm relying on the Christian Zionists to see the light and to get as far away from this Israel nonsense as possible and see through, as Casey Malone, friend of the show, saw through John Hagee's bullshit and the bullshit that Ted Cruz spews. You have to be able to see it because there's much more of a class war going on amongst Christian Zionists. And so it is imperative that we continue to fight the fight that we're fighting. And so for the final time this evening, you guys have been exceptionally generous this evening, but we do have a handful of super chats still to get to before we are out for the evening. Chanel with the $10. Peter reminds me of Steve Buscemi. I love you too. I've gotten that one.
Thank you. We get that and Christopher Walken a lot.
Walken? Jen, what are you doing here? Come on. I'm trying.
It's pretty good. No, it's pretty good.
Please tell me more.
Oh, someone's asking how to donate to the PAC. Continue your thing on putting it up.
Emily with the 20 Canadian A. Love what you guys do. We love you.
Thank you. So we do have a PAC. It is above me, although people say it's here, but to me, I see it there. So it's wherever you see it. It's Revolutionary Change PAC.org. And if you go there, you'll see where you could donate to our PAC. We also do accept checks. We accept Anodot. We're not just Act Blue, but we are working to fight against AIPAC in this current election cycle and be able to really put out some good stuff on behalf of our candidates and against the AIPAC shills.
We concur and we agree that there is a lot of work to be done, but we have a few more. Cheetah with the $10. Free Sami Hamdi. He is a British Muslim political analyst that speaks up for Palestine cause around the U.S. He was detained by ICE at SFO, still in their custody.
SFO, is that San Francisco?
I think so.
Yeah.
Still in their custody. Laura Loomer is behind his detention because, of course, she is. A great clip of Laura Loomer and Fat Fine. I can't help myself. When people are that ugly on the inside, it comes out on the outside, so I must. Don't even get me started on, what is she? Jigsaw Loomer?
Again, I don't watch horror movies, but there is that.
But yes, Cheetah, we will look into that for Thursday. Sami Hamdi, thank you very much. JG with the 5 Revolutionary Change memberships, because what's 5 more? We appreciate you so, so much. I like tacos with the 5
Love tacos.
revolutionary. Hey, tomorrow's Taco Tuesday. With the 5 revolutionary change memberships. And last but certainly not least, Zach Vouse with the becoming a YouTube member.
Okay, so
Very
Kathy Paulino, do you trust Act Blue? No, I don't trust Act Blue, but it's an evil. It's the necessary evil. They have such a monopoly on it in terms of working with the compliance with the FEC that it's almost like they're ubiquitous in this position. And then there's the red team one. Now, the 3 candidates we're supporting, one is a Democrat, one is an independent, and one is a Green. We are nonpartisan. It is the payment method. And no, I don't trust them, but I am very familiar with how they work. And as much as it sucks to have to use them, I know that the compliance is being done how it gets done. Like it just is.
Better to have options than not. As long as you know you have options outside of Act Blue, that's the most important thing. Smash that like button, share, subscribe.
Do you want me to do a slow burn? Do you want to end on a slow burn? Do you know what a slow burn is?
No. What else do you have?
Okay, so it's just we should, I think, have
to conclude this before 9 o'clock.
That's fine. All right. Go ahead.
No,
we
what
could
did
go.
you have?
I was just saying we should have a regular end, or a regular beginning, or something. And so I have that's something that Colin did for me. Was he pulled up a couple of videos for me, to use as what would be what's a slow burn, and that's what I was going to show you. So this is it, right? Okay, that's a slow burn, right? So historically, it's like, how far back do we go? So I'm going to play this one. All right, so this is where thank you all for coming kind of thing.
We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
And that's the slow burn for tonight.
Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things we ask you to do. We love you all. We appreciate you all. We will see you Thursday, and
Free Palestine.
Good night, guys.